Part 52. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 527. Sister Runa. Kurosawa Hikaru did not hesitate and changed the title according to her preference. Perhaps there are some titles that are more shameful among lovers, such as Dad. However, the title of sister has nothing to do with him. After all, he had called Chizuru sister in order to coax Ninomiya Chizuru. "Hey, come here quickly." Igarashi Runa, who was lying on the back of the sofa, waved to him with a smile in her eyes, feeling extremely helpful. Girls do like their boyfriends to call them sister, just like boys like their girlfriends to call them their brothers. Especially when she is so much older. "Are you so happy?" Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised when he saw her bright smile. Thinking about it carefully, when he called Sister Kinhi, the effect was outstanding. Across the sofa, as soon as Kurosawa Hikaru sat down, Igarashi Runa moved her buttocks, sat next to him, and hugged his arm. After resting for a while, they went into the kitchen to cook together. Delicious. At his signal, Igarashi Runa picked up a piece of meat and put it into his mouth, full of praise. "As long as it's delicious." Kurosawa Hikaru was very happy to see her reaction. "You are so amazing. I am so lucky to find a boyfriend like you." Igarashi Runa looked up slightly and looked at his gentle smile, and couldn't help but sigh. In Nihon, there are only a handful of men who can cook. Even if they can cook, Nihon men rarely go to the kitchen because they think it is a shameful thing to do in the kitchen, which is what housewives should do. That's why, except for professional cooks, men rarely cook in families. Although she can cook, she never expects her partner to cook, but this is a big plus. What's more, Kurosawa Hikaru is so handsome, young, and promising, and except for a little bit of playfulness, he is perfect and impeccable. "It's just my luck that I was able to find such a good girlfriend like you." Hearing this emotion, Kurosawa Hikaru looked sideways at her and couldn't help but sigh. It's okay if she didn't say it, but when she said it, he felt that he was the luckiest. You know, Sister Runai's character is gentle and generous, mature and refined, and she can work in the hall as well as in the kitchen. The more they get along with her, the more he feels the charm of Igarashi Runa. In terms of appearance alone, she looks very beautiful, but she is not the type that is stunning at first glance, but is very attractive and becomes more and more beautiful the more she looks at her. The key is that her figure is so good. She wears an apron, which obviously covers her front body, but makes her even more thrilling. She looks mature and charming in every frown and smile. With her conditions, as long as she wanted to fall in love, she would have no idea how many men would rush up to her and let her choose. Obviously, she still chose him, even if he was flirtatious, she didn't care. "Do you really think so?" Maybe it was the same statement, but because of this, Igarashi Runa knew where her feelings came from, and she didn't believe it. In fact, in her opinion, Kurosawa's playfulness may not be a shortcoming. It would be better to say that Kurosawa is a playboy, otherwise, I'm afraid it won't be her turn in this life. Even though she has many suitors, she attracts attention wherever she goes. She is a very popular beauty. But compared to Kurosawa's other girlfriends, she is still self-aware. Yuki Ichinos has a god-level appearance that can crush most female stars. She is lively, laughing, full of energy, well-behaved, and sensible. The key is that she is an 18-year-old super beautiful girl. Ninomiya Chizuru, her best friend, has beautiful features, cool temperament, and tall figure. She is a stunning super beauty. In the future of Seifunjiyuan, the eldest daughter of a chaebol is extremely beautiful, has an extraordinary temperament, is noble and elegant, and is an 18-year-old super beautiful girl. The only place where she could outshine these three men was her bust. She felt like she had no chance of winning against these people for Kurosawa. It's not that she belittles herself, She never likes to look down on herself, but these three people are so outstanding. I'm glad you want to be with me. Faced with her doubts, Kurosawa nodded in affirmation without hesitation. He once heard Sister Kinhee say that Sister Runa actually hates playboys, but she set a precedent for him. Isn't this his luck? Although he is carefree, he is also self-aware. He knows that everyone turns a blind eye to his carefree things, which is his blessing and luck. Seeing his unhesitating attitude, Igarashi Runa no longer questioned whether it was true or not. Hearing Kurosawa say this made her happy. The feeling of cooking dinner together is very special, especially when you are alone, just like a newlywed couple. The atmosphere is very charming and the air is full of joy. After half an hour, they prepared dinner and walked out of the kitchen. This dinner has a lot of fried and grilled dishes, because such dishes are suitable for drinking and drinking. Thanks to you, the firm was able to sign a big contract worth 100 billion yen. Thank you for your hard work. Cheers. After sitting down next to each other at the dining table and pouring down 2 large glasses of beer, Igarashi Runa raised the beer glass, feeling extremely excited. If Kurosawa hadn't invited her to start a business, she might never have had the chance to get a big contract worth hundreds of billions of yen in her life. The most important thing is that she is no longer a part-time worker at Huansing firm, but the boss of zero-hour firm. Maybe the 100 billion yen is not all hers, and she still has to pay dividends, pay taxes, run the company and many other expenses, and then distribute the dividends, but even so, the money she can get is at least starting at 10 billion. Tens of billions of yen. She never dreamed that she could be so rich. Even though the contract is for 10 years, after the one-time purchase of the copyright, the agency still has ongoing income from album sales. Sister Runa also deserves a lot of credit. Kurosawa Hikaru clinked glasses with her, not feeling that it was entirely his own fault. If Runa Igarashi hadn't been sitting in the office and handling various affairs, I'm afraid he would have been busy to death. Cuckoo. Immediately, both of them raised their beer glasses and drank heavily. In the hot summer, drinking cold beer is super refreshing even in a cool air-conditioned room. After half a glass of wine, they started. Even if it's beer, it's easy to get drunk just by drinking without eating food. Kurosawa, I really didn't expect that starting a business with you would achieve such great success. After drinking 2 glasses of wine, Igarashi Runa was a little tipsy. She turned her head and looked at Kurosawa Hikaru's handsome profile, and couldn't help but sigh. She also giggled twice as she spoke. Her drinking capacity is actually quite large, and she won't get drunk at all with just this amount of wine, but the problem is that she is happy. If I dare to ask you to resign and start a business, I must do so only when I am confident. Kurosawa Hikaru smiled calmly, having already expected this result. In this world, although many songs are similar to those in previous generations, the field of pop piano is promising. Backed by world-famous songs from his previous life, even if he is an entry-level piano player, he is confident that he can become popular and make Sister Runa earn more money than she did during her part-time job. However, a contract worth hundreds of billions, even in Japanese yen, was slightly beyond his expectations. A toast to you. Igarashi Runa knew that he had given her this opportunity, so she opened a can of beer again and filled it up. If she hadn't met Kurosawa, she might still be a humble worker at Huansing office. Maybe after firing the boss, you go out to work alone. The workload will be more than before, but you will also gain more. To put it bluntly, after signing this contract, she didn't even need to fight and work hard. Sister Runa, let me ask you a question. Seeing her so bold and generous, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little bit opened his eyes, and after thinking about it, he spoke. What? When did you fall in love with me? I can't say for sure. Faced with such a question, Igarashi Runa was choked up and couldn't answer. If it's not convenient to answer, forget it. Kurosawa Hikaru was actually just curious, so he picked up a topic at random, and seeing that she was a little coy, he didn't force it. It's not that it's inconvenient, but I don't know, maybe it was when you played Croatian Rhapsody in the office. Igarashi Runa thought about it for a while and said uncertainly. It seemed like it was the first time she met Kurosawa, and she scratched his palm to test it out. As a result, when the little brother looked at Kinzuru with all her heart and eyes, she felt good about him, otherwise she wouldn't have spared no effort to bring him and Kinzuru together. Chizuru. If she really wanted to say her favorite moment, she felt it was when Kurosawa transformed into Zero and played the Croatian Rhapsody. At that moment, she was really amazed. I fell in love with you probably after the Kyoto competition, when we were working on the contract together in the office. Kurosawa Hikaru was impressed by this. That day, when Sister Runa took off her coat and revealed her proud figure, he triggered the date mission. The reason why he was fond of her was probably because Miss Runa did not keep a distance from him after discovering his playboy, but was still willing to meet him. Of course, it is also possible that he is greedy for her body, because the sister is too fragrant. When I take off my coat. When Igarashi Runa heard what he said, she suddenly reacted and smiled playfully. That day, she was in the air-conditioned room. It was obviously not hot at all, but she deliberately shouted that it was hot and took off her coat. In fact, it was a sign of her taking action. From that moment on, her heart was already ready to move, and she couldn't hold back her loneliness. Because she found that Kurosawa was not devoted, and even had 3 girlfriends, since he had so many girlfriends, she was not afraid of having one more. Cough. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her sideways smile and coughed slightly, which was regarded as admission. Igarashi Runa found out that he was really like this, and felt very proud. Although many people keep saying that they hope that the other half likes their soul and heart, not their skin. But this is not the case, because the person you like covets your body, which makes you happier. This shows that your charm is enough to attract him. Originally, she felt a little inferior because she was too old, 8 years older than Kurosawa, the same age as Chizuru, and not as beautiful as Chizuru. But at this moment, she realized that he had also been fascinated by her, and the haze in her heart was lifted a lot. It didn't take long before they were full. There wasn't much beer for dinner, only 6 cans of beer. For 2 people, this amount was considered tipsy at best. After eating and drinking, Igarashi Runa began to put away the dishes. I'll wash the dishes. You can rest for a while. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her actions and acted very positively. After all, while Runa-san was busy at work, he was dating other girls. That's why he felt guilty for Sister Runa. Let me do it. You did so much cooking just now. Igarashi Runa shook her head and lightly patted the hand he extended. When we were cooking dinner just now, although we were cooking together, she just helped cut and wash the vegetables and handed out the seasonings. If it hadn't been for today's first date at home, she would never have agreed to Kurosawa's invitation to cook dinner together. Because in her opinion, Kurosawa Hikaru's hands were priceless. How could he do such menial work as washing dishes and cooking? Good. Seeing her firm attitude, Kurosawa thought for a moment and didn't argue with her. After a while, Igarashi Runa walked into the kitchen carrying leftovers. Immediately afterwards, the sound of water from the faucet and the collision of dishes and chopsticks began. While she was washing the dishes, Kurosawa Hikaru came to the sofa and sat down. He took out his phone and looked at it twice, then opened the task list. Date mission, home date with Igarashi Runa. Mission goal, meet Igarashi Runa at home, make dinner together, give her a massage to relieve the fatigue accumulated at work, sleep in each other's arms. Task duration, 48 hours. Mission funds, entry-level cooking Japanese food, entry-level massage. Mission rewards, entry-level cooking skills, Japanese food, entry-level massage. Judging from this task, she must have accumulated a lot of fatigue at work. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at the mission, thoughtfully. In fact, this dating task is both simple and difficult. Especially sleeping in each other's arms. If his relationship with Sister Runa weren't already in place, it would definitely be difficult to complete it. There's no need to resort to the classic "I'll sleep with you in my arms and do nothing" rhetoric that boys use to trick girls into spending the night. Thinking of giving Sister Runa a massage later, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly felt a little dry. Needless to say, beer does not quench your thirst. Realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru looked around, then stood up and walked into the kitchen. "Why did you get in?" Runa Igarashi, who put on an apron and was still washing dishes, turned around and asked. "I'll get a bottle of water." Kurosawa Hikaru walked behind her and opened the refrigerator. At the same time, he couldn't help but keep his eyes on Igarashi Runa. After she put on the apron, her hot figure was covered, and her profile looked particularly virtuous and beautiful. The figure of a woman washing dishes is actually very beautiful and will bring a feeling of happiness to men. Snapped. Seeing her beautiful figure washing dishes, Kurosawa Hikaru walked out of the kitchen with water. When passing by her, he couldn't help but reach out and pat her big butt. "What are you doing?" Igarashi Runa didn't expect that he would come here. She was startled and turned her head to glare at him resentfully. However, Kurosawa Hikaru ran away after taking advantage and had already slipped out. "This little rascal." Unable to protest successfully, Igarashi Runa muttered, but the corner of her mouth couldn't help but evoke a happy smile. "Today's update, I feel a little uncomfortable and it's difficult to deal with." Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 528. This feeling. Kurosawa Hikaru returned to the sofa in the living room and sat down. He lowered his head and glanced at his right hand, feeling that he had endless aftertaste. For some reason, the feeling of getting along with Igarashi Runa gave him an inexplicable sense of excitement. Maybe it's because Runa-san has a special status. She's her girlfriend's best friend. They were untouchable before, but by mistake, the relationship boundaries were broken. "I should buy more wine." Not long after, Igarashi Runa walked out of the kitchen, wiped her hands, and came to the sofa to sit down. "It's a pleasant drink, not a social event, just drink casually." Kurosawa Hikaru looked up at her and found her beautiful eyes, which seemed to contain infinite amorous feelings, and shook his head slightly. As one of the top 100 cities in Asia, Tokyo is very stressful in life. If you have some free time, it is a good choice to drink a little wine to feel happy and relax. However, there is no need to get drunk. He is not interested at all in getting drunk. After all, being drunk affects the thinking process of the brain and makes people less sober. Will it cause trouble? Let's not talk about it for the moment. It is very likely that you will make a fool of yourself. But I think 3 cans per person is still too little. Igarashi Runa couldn't help but said when she saw him sitting there motionless. In fact, she didn't like drinking, but she felt that Kurosawa was not proactive enough. If he drank more, maybe the atmosphere would be better. Then buy more next time. Thank you for your hard work. I'll give you a massage. Kurosawa Hikari took action when it was time to take action, without any stage fright. He followed her wishes and suggested it while being considerate. Maybe this is a stay-at-home date, but a date is a date, no matter the occasion. Most importantly, the time has come. Tomorrow is Thursday, and he has to go to tutoring class in the afternoon. Even if he spends the night at Igarashi's house tonight, he will have enough time to be with Runa-san. "Okay, you said before that you had learned massage, but I didn't even see your skills." In response, Igarashi Runa looked at him sideways and teased. The boy proposed to give the girl a massage, which was a very ambiguous test. If a girl proposes that a boy massage her, it's not even a test, but almost a clear statement, almost as if "come and interact with me" is written on her face. "I'll let you see it this time." Facing her provocation, Kurosawa said immediately, "What should I do?" Igarashi Runa was very cooperative. "You don't have to do anything. Just sit where you are. I'll give you a shoulder massage first." Kurosawa Hikaru stood up and walked around to the back of the sofa. As he walked behind her step by step, Kurosawa Hikari couldn't help but marvel in his heart as a stunning scene came into view. When girls wear suspenders, they naturally show off their figure. If a girl with a good figure wears a suspender belt, the effect is not even as simple as 1:1. If oppai can be divided into different sizes, then the Azalane class is definitely second to none. Even though Kurosawa Hikaru had seen countless girls since he was a child, he was really amazed by the vast expanse of white snow. As a girl, she will be noticed by the opposite sex from a young age, and she will be taught by her parents that she must protect herself and not let bad people take advantage of her. Every girl will develop a survival instinct to prevent peeping and exposure. If a girl shows up in front of you, but is unaware of it, as if she is defenseless, it is definitely not that she is slow to react or big-hearted, but that she does it deliberately. Just like now, Igarashi Runa realized in advance what he would see when he stood behind him before he could get behind him. You know, she has been beautiful since she was a child, and she has developed very well in her youth, far ahead of her peers. Over the years, I don't know how many people have been concerned about her body, and they are more alert than ordinary girls. Stronger. However, she still restrained her instinct to avoid him, just took a breath and leaned on the back of the sofa. She seemed calm on the surface, but her heartbeat was already racing uncontrollably. "What beautiful shoulders!" Kurosawa Hikaru spoke up, breaking the brief silence. "Not bad." Igarashi Runa's mood was tense and apprehensive. Although she has a lot of theoretical knowledge and is a veteran, she has no experience in actual combat. "I'll start pressing." Kurosawa Hikaru was also a little nervous, because he found that this kind of massage was obviously not a spa and did not contain essential oils, but it was more fragrant than he imagined. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly but said nothing. Immediately afterwards, Kurosawa Hikaru's hands moved. When something is not rejected or rejected, it is instead encouraged. He won't be pretentious and think about what he can't take advantage of. After all, although Sister Runa is his girlfriend's best friend, she is also his woman now. He gently placed it on her smooth and jade-like shoulders, pointed his forefingers on both shoulders, and put his thumb on the back of her shoulder, and then started to rub it gently. So slippery. With this press, Kurosawa felt the touch of her skin and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's as smooth and soft as milk, and like top-quality silk. The texture is so wonderful that people can't put it down. She was wearing a sling to wrap her breasts. Such clothes were quite suitable for massage because her shoulders and back were exposed a lot. Following his movements, Igarashi Runa naturally placed her hands on both sides, slowly clenching her fingers, but she still couldn't help but let out a groan of pain. "Will it be sore?" Kurosawa Hikaru noticed that her shoulders were stiff and asked. Since Sister Runa resigned from her job and started her own business, she has basically been either working or working. She probably hasn't had a massage for a long time and has accumulated a lot of fatigue. And compared with other girls, she carries an extra heavy load. Even if she does nothing, her shoulders will get sore. A little. Igarashi Runa nodded. She was a little surprised, because Kurosawa's massage was decent, not just in the name of massage, just pressing on the left and touching on the right. You often sit in the office blowing on the air conditioner and working on the computer. Your shoulders, cervical spine, and lumbar spine are the easiest to accumulate fatigue. I'll just massage it for you later. Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised by this. As a man, he had relatively strong hands. And although he has such awesome skills as perfect massage, he is not a god and cannot relieve people's fatigue painlessly. However, he was very confident that Sister Runa would feel much better after he finished pressing her shoulders. When it came to massaging, Kurosawa was very patient. He massaged her little by little around her shoulder area, using the same technique. "You really know how to massage?" 10 minutes later, as he retracted his hands, Igarashi Runa suddenly felt that his shoulders were much lighter, as if his energy and blood had been completely opened, which was very surprising. "Comfortable?" Kurosawa Hikaru heard the sigh and asked with a smile. "Very comfortable. I'm not the kind of person who pretends to be fat. If I can, I can, and if I can't, I can't." After confirming her feelings, Kurosawa Hikaru immediately felt relieved. The effect of perfect massage is very strong. With this skill, he has a clear understanding of various acupoints on the human body. Maybe it's not a spot, but that's not a big problem because Sister Runa's skin is very supple. That being said, is there anything in this world that you don't know how to do? Igarashi Runa was really impressed by him, and turned back to look at him, with blue waves rippling in her eyes. This little man always brings surprises to him, he is simply a treasure boy. From the first time they met until now, it still brings her unexpected joy. Just like this massage, she had a feeling that she wouldn't need to take time to go to a massage parlor in the future. She could just ask Kurosawa to massage it for her when she got home. There must be some. Kurosawa Hikaru does not feel that he is omnipotent, even with the help of the system. Really? Igarashi Runa remains skeptical about this. From her impression, she really couldn't think of anything else that Kurosawa couldn't do. "Here, let me press your arm." Kurosawa Hikaru didn't defend himself, he just walked around to the front and sat down next to her. Compared with the back shoulders, pressing the arms is relatively simple. The only method that requires more technical attention is to stretch the muscles. "Lie down and I'll hold your neck for you." After a while, Kurosawa Hikaru finished pressing her arms and pulling her waist, and then he said, "Good." After a while, Igarashi Runa finally realized that his skills were more professional and cooperative than those of masseuses in massage parlors. As she lay down, Kurosawa came to the side of the sofa and sat down on a small stool, seeing her figure from another angle. Although he was having a wonderful time, at this moment, he was transformed into a professional masseur. You know, one of the tasks of this home date is to give her a massage to relieve the fatigue accumulated from work. As the saying goes, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry, so you can't rush it and take it step by step. However, just after lying down on the sofa, Igarashi Runa couldn't help but raise her head. "What's wrong?" Kurosawa asked when he noticed that she was not completely relaxed but was moving. "Lying in this position is not comfortable enough, and it doesn't feel very suitable for pressing the neck." In this regard, Igarashi Runa raised a question. This is a fact. Although there are armrests on both sides of the sofa, because of this, the neck cannot be completely suspended. What should we do? Kurosawa took a look and discovered this problem. "How about we change places?" Igarashi Runa cautiously suggested, her pretty face turning red. She felt that what she said was too straightforward and not reserved at all. This was not a hint, but an explicit statement. But there is no way. If we don't take the opportunity of the massage to move the battlefield to the room, it will only be more difficult to find excuses and reasons after the massage is over. But then she thought about it, why should she be so reserved? She would take action when it was time to take action. Her desire for Kurosawa's body was not something that happened every day or two. Maybe girls being more reserved is an advantage in the eyes of boys, but girls who are more proactive are more valuable. However, everything must be done in a certain degree. It is not good to be too proactive, just like many men will be afraid of their overly proactive wives after marriage, and even keep a distance and minimize the time they spend alone together for fear of being caught. Okay. Kurosawa Hikaru was startled when he heard this, and looked at her with a smile, extremely happy. Immediately afterwards, they moved the venue and went upstairs into the room. This time, Igarashi Runa was lying on the bed, holding a small pillow and gently resting her head on it, with a small hanging on her neck. Although it feels more ambiguous to go back to the room and sit on the bed, in fact, it is indeed more suitable to rub the neck on the bed than on the sofa. After pressing the neck, it was the turn of the lower back, and Igarashi Runa lay on the bed. As for Kurosawa Hikaru, he climbed into her bed naturally and started pressing her lower back. After simply pressing her lower back for a while, Kurosawa's hands climbed up to her butt unconsciously. It's abrupt and bold, but also natural. Men should take action when it's time to take action, because if you don't do anything, you will never know where a girl's bottom line is. This action was very abrupt and even more offensive. Kurosawa Hikaru could clearly feel Igarashi Runa's body stiffen. What could be seen with the naked eye was that her hands instinctively grasped the sheets. However, when faced with such an obvious offense, she did not show any resistance or rejection, but acquiesced. When boys get along with girls, especially when there is physical contact, if something does not clearly express an attitude of rejection at the beginning, it will instead become encouragement and keep people courageous. Just like on a date, if you hold hands successfully, you will want to do more, such as hugging, kissing, and kissing. Won't you resist? Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised to find that she allowed him to do such a thing, but he was also secretly relieved. Although it had been anticipated, when it happened, it still made people uncontrollably nervous. After all, although his relationship with Sister Runa seemed to be in place on the surface, the actual close contact was not much and the frequency was very few. Igarashi Runa rested her chin on the pillow, turned her back to him, and bit her lip. Immediately afterwards, Kurosawa Hikaru continued the massage. In fact, he put his hands on his buttocks not just to take advantage, but to massage the buttocks. People who sit in the office for a long time accumulate fatigue in many places, and the buttocks are one of them. However, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't say anything or explain, he just massaged her silently. After carefully pressing the buttocks, Kurosawa Hikaru did not move downwards, but changed his sitting position and began to press the soles of the feet. Igarashi Runa's feet are approximately 36.5 yards. In theory, any size 35-38 is a beautiful foot. In fact, there are no strict standards for this kind of thing, the key is to look at the face. It's like an ugly girl who doesn't look very good, even if she has a pair of beautiful feet, just looking at the feet is fine, but looking at the whole body, it will make people feel sad. In contrast, a super beautiful beauty, even if her hands and feet, or even other parts, are not particularly beautiful, will still make people feel good because they know they are beautiful hands. After pressing the soles of the feet, Kurosawa's hands naturally moved up to the calves and thighs. During this process, the room was very silent. Neither of them wanted to talk, but just let things develop, as if they were testing each other, testing a certain limit. Finally, the system prompt sounded. The mission goal to give her a massage to relieve the fatigue accumulated at work has been completed. Okay, how do you feel? Hearing the system prompt, Kurosawa also stopped. It's pretty good, great. Igarashi Runa turned slightly sideways, nodded, and then felt that this was not enough, so he added. This massage was an enjoyment beyond her expectations for her. Because Kurosawa Hikaru's hands were very hot, and when they were pressed on her body, she felt warm and comfortable everywhere they touched. The most important thing is that every time he touches a place, she can feel extremely relaxed. Since my massage was so good, shouldn't I be given a reward? Seeing her reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her beautiful face and took advantage of the situation. Sister Runa's facial features are not the modern standard beauty face, that is, an oval face or an internet celebrity face with a straight nose, but an oval face. Her facial features look very soft and gentle, and she is a very typical neon beauty. What reward do you want? When Runa Igarashi heard this request, he immediately understood it and asked with a blush on his face. I want a kiss from Runa-sama. Kurosawa Hikaru asked, looking at her pretty face. While massaging her, his concentration had been broken down bit by bit, and it was unbearable. Now that he had seized the opportunity, he would not let it go. Starting from the kiss, tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. Just another update. Sorry, I'm not feeling very well. I should be able to recover tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 529. In the morning, Kurosawa opened his eyes. However, what caught his eye was not the ceiling, but a beautiful oval face. He was lying on his side, Igarashi Runa was sleeping soundly on his arm, and his other arm was gently resting on her body. The mission progress has been updated, and the mission goal sleeping in each other's arms has been achieved. The date mission home date with Igarashi Runa has been completed. Entry-level cooking skills, Japanese food and entry-level massage will be rewarded. Because the host already has the reward of cooking skill Japanese food, the entry-level cooking skill Japanese food will be upgraded to the master-level cooking skill Japanese food. Because the host already has a massage reward and has reached the perfect level and cannot be upgraded, the reward is automatically converted into one lottery draw. Although system notifications kept ringing in his ears, Kurosawa didn't take it too seriously. Sister, you smell so good. Looking at the sleeping face in front of him, listening to her even and light breathing, Kurosawa Hikaru smelled her sweet milk-like body fragrance, and felt very wonderful. The advantage of having a sister girlfriend is that she is gentle, considerate, and understanding. After enjoying the feeling of having a beautiful woman in his arms alone for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't know what time it would be. He adjusted his posture and took the mobile phone on the bedside. 8 o'clock, is it so early? Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at the time and felt a little depressed. Last night, Sister Lunai tortured him until 4 o'clock in the morning before he went to bed. As a result, he woke up after only sleeping for a few hours. Was it the influence of the biological clock? Surprised, he thought about it, opened line, and sent good morning greetings to Xiaoyuki, Bayu, and Sister Kinhee one by one. The time he said good night last night was around 10 p.m., and it was time to wake up at this time. No need to rush to get up this time. After doing this, Kurosawa Hikaru calculated his schedule for today and felt relieved. Putting down the phone, he turned sideways, gently put his hand on Igarashi Runa, hugged her gently and closed his eyes, deciding to sleep for a while longer. In your free time when you have nothing to worry about, sleep with your beloved woman in your arms. This ordinary feeling made him enjoy it very much. When people go back to sleep, they will sleep more soundly and deeply. Where are the people? I don't know how long I slept, but when Kurosawa opened his eyes again, he found that the beauty in his arms was gone. Looking around, he found that Sister Runa had woken up and was nowhere to be seen, so he quickly got up. He walked into the bathroom, used the toiletries he bought at the supermarket last night, brushed his teeth, washed his face and combed his hair, and then walked out of the room. Arriving at the living room, Kurosawa Hikaru heard movement in the kitchen. Are you awake? Igarashi Runa was making lunch, and when she noticed the movement, she turned to look at him and smiled. She was wearing a vest, shorts, and an apron, and her figure in front of the stove was very bright and moving. Why didn't you call me when you woke up? Let me come. Kurosawa noticed that she was cooking and immediately walked over. He had made up his mind before going to bed last night. After waking up, he would cook her breakfast or lunch and treat her well. Working hard for so long was really hard on her. Don't move. I just knew you were awake and would compete with me to cook, so I didn't call you. Seeing him reaching out his hand, Igarashi Runa gently slapped his hand back. Sister Runa, let me cook. Finding that she refused, Kurosawa walked decisively behind her, put his hands through her waist, and hugged her small waist. I have to say, this sister has a really good figure. You are thin where you should be thin, and fat where you should be fat. You should pay great attention to body management in daily life. Do you think the food I cooked is not delicious enough? Igarashi Runa was hugged by him and felt elated when he called her sister. The faint smell of oil smoke in the kitchen became extremely fresh and sweet, but she did not feel soft. Instead, she turned her head slightly and looked at him sideways. No way, the food you cook is better than the restaurant. When she glanced back at him, Kurosawa was really impressed by the beauty, but when he heard these words, he felt wronged. Perhaps he is proficient in Japanese cuisine. As his cooking skills have improved, his appreciation of food has become stronger, but even an international chef will never dislike his wife's cooking. Although Igarashi Runa is not his wife yet, once she is a wife, she will always be a wife. She already has a horoscope, so it is not too much to call her his wife. Since you don't mind it, why don't you let me do it? Igarashi Runa followed his words. Isn't this because I'm afraid you'll be tired? Kurosawa Hikaru naturally wanted to pamper her. Men actually know how to be grateful, to their parents, to their true friends, especially to women. In his opinion, Sister Lunai knew that he was very carefree and still wanted to be with him. This was a blessing he had gained in his previous life. With such a good woman, he naturally had to pamper her well. How can you be tired just from cooking? You go outside and rest for a while. It will be done soon. But no matter what he said, Igarashi Runa remained unmoved. You are the one who should rest. Kurosawa Hikaru did not give up. In his opinion, after a man who can cook spends the night with his girlfriend for the first time, it is natural to care for him by cooking breakfast or lunch for each other. Of course, it doesn't matter if he is allowed to cook often. After all, he likes to cook after he has the cooking skills. Be obedient. Seeing that he was insistent, Igarashi Runa had no choice but to turn her head and kiss him gently on the face. All right. After being kissed by her, Kurosawa Hikari could only compromise. Although his sister's coquettishness is more lethal, he can actually withstand it. After all, Igarashi Runa is not like Ninomiya Chizuru, where the contrast is too great, so that the lethality is doubled. It's just that girls are acting coquettishly. As long as it's not a major issue of principle, it's better for men to be more sensible and follow the other person's wishes. If a girl acts coquettishly with you, you will meet their requirements. This is positive feedback and is conducive to warming up the relationship. If girls are acting coquettishly and you still don't agree to their small requests, that's negative feedback, which will cause very bad negative effects. To put it simply, if a girl's coquettish behavior with you doesn't work, over time, she will stop being coquettish with you. Leaving the kitchen, Kurosawa Hikaru came to the sofa and sat down. Not long after, he waited for lunch. I learned a little bit from watching you cook last night. Let's try it. Igarashi Runa sat down and let him eat first. Delicious. Kurosawa Hikaru was not polite. He picked up a piece of meat and put it into his mouth to chew a few times. Then his eyes lit up and he took 2 mouthfuls of rice. In order to make her happy, he even used his proficient acting skills. Your reaction is too fake. Seeing his reaction, Igarashi Runa was immediately amused and laughed and cursed. She knew how much she weighed, but at her level, how could Kurosawa react like this? And she had tried it just now. After all, Kurosawa was so good at cooking, and he didn't want to be embarrassed by doing what he did best. Let me guess what seasoning you added. Kurosawa Hikaru found that his acting skills were too realistic, but a bit fake, and he was not embarrassed, so he said to himself. Then tell me. Igarashi Runa was stunned when he heard this, and his interest was immediately aroused. No, is Kurosawa's cooking level that high? Just take a bite and you can taste the seasoning. Love, you definitely added love. Facing her surprised gaze, Kurosawa Hikaru said decisively after pondering. He can naturally taste what seasonings are added to this dish, but there are no outsiders here. If you tell them one by one, who are you showing off to? Stop being weird, is it delicious? Expectations were dashed, but Igarashi Runa was not disappointed. Instead, she was embarrassed by what he said, interrupted, and asked again. Not to mention, although this answer didn't follow the routine, it spoke to her heart. Because after she got up, she didn't stay in bed and got up to cook. She just wanted to make him a delicious lunch so that he could eat happily. And this time, she cooked lunch with more care than ever before. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was filled with love. Didn't I just say it? It's delicious. I'm not lying to you. Don't tell me that you are already good at cooking and your level is very high. Even if you don't know how to cook, just because you add love, even if you boil stones for me eat it, I can chew it and show it to you. Noticing that her mouth was disgusted but her eyes were full of sweetness, Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned by her gentle smile and said firmly. Not all men will talk nonsense, but if it can please a girl, even a stupid person will be able to figure it out. Regardless of men or women, if they find something that makes the person they like happy, they will instinctively realize it. Can you really chew it? Seeing the certainty of what he said, Igarashi Runa looked at him with interest. Abel. Maybe this topic is a little dangerous, but Kurosawa Hikaru is not afraid at all. You can't make a girl happy like you. Although I can't boil rocks for you to eat, but there are some things you shouldn't say too much. What if I really boil rocks for you to eat? Igarashi Runa found that he was not afraid at all, so she rolled her eyes at him and poked his face with her finger, hating that iron could never become steel. This guy is really not afraid of death, he dares to agree to this. I bet you won't let me eat rocks. Facing her complaints, Kurosawa remained calm and looked at her sideways without fear even when a gun was pointed at him. Next time you dare to say something like this, I will make you eat a piece of it. Seeing the arrogance on his face, Igarashi Runa was amused and laughed out loud. She felt that she had lost her sense of control, so she simply threatened with a straight face. She felt that it was necessary to make this guy suffer a little. He just coaxed women, and she was too courageous to say so much. Ah! Facing her threat, Kurosawa's face immediately turned bitter. Do you dare to do it next time? Seeing that he finally realized the seriousness of the problem, Igarashi Runa hummed. I dare you next time. Noticing that she had a proud look on her face, Kurosawa couldn't help but feel a little angry. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 530. After lunch, which was harmonious and full of laughter, the dispute started again. Put the bowl down and I'll wash it. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her skillfully clearing the dishes and immediately held down her arm. In fact, many people enjoy cooking and don't find it too hard. Because through your own efforts, you continue to improve your cooking skills, accumulate experience, and make delicious food for the people you care about to taste. It feels great. Just like when he made bentos for Chizuru-san, Runa-san, and Xiaoyuki to taste, his vanity would be infinitely satisfied when he saw their happy and surprised reactions. In contrast, no one likes washing dishes, because it is purely physical work and no fun at all. It's just a few bowls. I can wash them quickly, a world-class pianist has very delicate hands. Even the luggage is carried by his wife. Igarashi Runa realized that he had to argue, so she rolled her eyes at him and explained. After saying that, her little face warmed up a little, and she said this as if she was a wife. They are them, I am me, I wash the dishes. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't care what those world-class pianists looked like. This time, he felt that he had to tell her what family status meant. Let me wash it? Your hands are so precious. What if you accidentally break the bowl and cut your hand? Realizing that he was serious, Igarashi Runa could only act coquettishly. To be honest, she really couldn't bear to let Kurosawa do such rough work. Are you doubting my ability to wash dishes? I told you, I'll do it. Kurosawa Hikaru refused to give in and planned to use actions to show her what it means to be the head of a family. All right. Igarashi Runa found that she couldn't defeat him and had no choice but to give in. But just this once, you are not allowed to steal from me in the future. Immediately, Igarashi Runa was worried that something like this would happen again in the future and made an agreement. Ken. After thinking about it, Kurosawa nodded in agreement. After thinking for a short time, he decided to buy the latest dishwasher. It's not like he didn't consider hiring a housekeeper, but it wasn't a good decision. Although the housekeeper is convenient, she is an outsider after all, and it would be bad if her privacy is seen. As Runa Igarashi said, there were not many dishes and chopsticks, so they were washed in a short time. It was still early, and after washing the dishes, Kurosawa Hikaru and Igarashi Runa turned on the TV and sat together to chat. In this process, hugs and kisses are naturally indispensable. Men and women who are passionately in love are at the peak of their emotions, and it is inevitable to be glued to each other. By the way, I plan to move in with Chizuru on Saturday. After chatting for a while, Igarashi Runa thought of something and said. So fast. Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. Today is Thursday, Saturday is the day after tomorrow. Do you want me to live alone? Igarashi Runa was a little confused when she saw his reaction. Well. Kurosawa Hikaru heard this and didn't know how to answer. To be honest, he really wanted Sister Runa to live alone. All men in the world hope that their girlfriends live alone because it is easier to get things done. The most important thing is that because of what happened at the Budokan, he had a little bit of PTSD and didn't want to make the same mistake again. Even though Chizuru-san has expressed her hope more than once, she hopes he can catch Igarashi Runa. But even so, he didn't want to have close contact with other girls in front of Chizuru-san, even if that person was Runa-san. However, it would not be a good idea not to move, because Sister Kinhee has been looking forward to her best friend moving in together since she moved. What's wrong? Don't you want to hug me earlier? Seeing that he was hesitating, Igarashi Runa circled his fingers on his strong and elastic chest, then leaned into his ear and whispered softly. She could guess Kurosawa's concerns, probably because he was afraid of embarrassment. After all, Niwai when he was alone and Niwai when someone was present were two different things. However, this will happen sooner or later. You can hide it for a while, but you cannot hide it forever. In this case, it's better to cut through the knot with a quick knife. As long as she breaks through the layer of paper, she and Chizuru join forces, and Kurosawa can spend more time with them. You know, Kurosawa should have 5 girlfriends at the moment, and her relationship with Chizuru is irreplicable and the best. Kurosawa looked down at her, opened his mouth, but said nothing. What she just said in his ear was like the whisper of a devil, which made people sink, but he still remained rational. It's impossible to say that he doesn't want to be slept with. In fact, when he made up his mind to launch an offensive against Chizuru-san's best friend, Runa-san, he had fantasized about such beautiful things more than once. But fantasy is fantasy, it's not that easy to do this kind of thing. It should be noted that he did not live in the ancient times when 3 wives and 4 concubines were normal, but in the modern era where monogamy was practiced. He can have 5 girlfriends, and everyone is willing to turn a blind eye, but he is already secretly laughing. It is too greedy to expect to be hugged by everyone. That's why he thinks it's good to date each girlfriend separately. After all, a person's energy is limited. Are you worried that Chizuru will be sad and collapse like before? Seeing that he was hesitant and worried, Igarashi Runa asked. Right. Kurosawa nodded without denying it. Don't worry, Kins won't collapse this time. I have everything. After receiving his affirmative reply, Igarashi Runa winked at him playfully. Kurosawa Hikaru was persuaded and fell into deep thought. I'm her best friend and I understand her very well. Seeing that he was still worried, Igarashi Runa continued. Then what should I do? Seeing how reliable she was when she was wrapped around me, Kurosawa was tempted. Just cooperate with me when necessary. Good. After much thought, Kurosawa decided to believe her. As a wingman, Sister Runa is simply invincible. Sister Runa, you are so kind to me. After deciding the matter, Kurosawa Hikaru thought that she had done so many things for him, and this time she took the initiative to take on such an arduous task, and his arms holding her couldn't help but tighten a little tighter. Why don't you call me sister? Igarashi Runa rolled her eyes at him. Sister Runa, you are so kind to me. For such a request, Kurosawa Hikaru naturally complied with her. When Runa Igarashi heard him calling her sister, she smiled with satisfaction. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at the entrance of Igarashi's house. You want to go to tutoring classes? I'll take you there. Igarashi Runa came to the entrance and looked at Kurosawa Hikari who was putting on shoes. No, I have to go home first to get my briefcase. You can have a good rest. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and refused. He didn't like to trouble people in the first place, not to mention that Sister Runa had just experienced the pain of breaking a melon last night. And instead of going directly to a luxury apartment in the city center, he has to go home to take a shower and change clothes. After all, Runa-san is very fragrant, from her hair to her toes. It's inevitable that she will be tainted with some smell after hugging her for so long. Then I'll take you home and then take you to work. Igarashi Runa held the car keys and looked at him tenderly with her beautiful eyes, wanting only to stay with him for a while longer. Although she was injured, she didn't care, because she was not as delicate as Kins, and a punch could hurt for a long time, so she was stronger. Have a good rest and wait until I come back. Kurosawa Hikaru noticed her attachment to him, stretched out his hand to pull her closer, kissed her gently on the lips, touched the key in her hand, and said warmly, "Will you be back tonight?" Igarashi Runa was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then reacted, a pair of beautiful eyes bursting with surprise. "I didn't get enough hugs last night." Kurosawa smiled, pinched her soft face with his hands, then turned around and opened the door. "I'm going." Opening the door, Kurosawa Hikaru looked back at Runa Igarashi standing in the entrance hall and waved his hand gently. "Bon voyage." Igarashi Runa nodded and waved to him. "Is it because of my personality? I really feel like a newlywed wife." After closing the door, Kurosawa Hikaru took a few steps, looked back at the house, and muttered to himself. Perhaps it was because of Runane's character, which was gentle and considerate, that the separation from last night to this moment brought him an unparalleled sense of fulfillment and happiness. Because of driving, Kurosawa arrived at the luxury apartment in the city center 45 minutes early. After parking the car, Kurosawa Hikaru walked into the apartment, observing the environment calmly along the way. Fortunately, he didn't pay attention. When he looked for it, he found traces of the bodyguard team, and there were quite a few surveillance cameras on the first floor. If he guessed correctly, there were bodyguards standing guard in secret, and there were also bodyguards in the monitoring room, observing every visitor. Enter an elevator at the very edge and swipe your card to go directly to a specific floor. Good afternoon, Mr. Kurosawa. As the elevator door opened, Sayaka Akai was already standing at the elevator entrance waiting. Miss Sayaka, good afternoon. Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised to see her appearance. Obviously, the bodyguards did not notify him before, probably because they thought he was delayed for something and would be late after communicating with the eldest lady. But if he arrives early, that is, if he does not act within the scheduled time, the bodyguards will still notify him. Thinking about it carefully, when he came to the apartment before, the maid was waiting for him at the elevator entrance. Someone was definitely reporting the situation secretly, instead of calculating the time and waiting at the designated time. This security level is really unusually high. The eldest lady is taking violin lessons. Please sit down and rest for a while. Sayaka Akai did not chat with him, but simply explained the situation and invited him to enter the room. Good. Kurosawa nodded. Unlike Sunday, he can go to Zuifeng Dojo early in the morning to stay there, and his future class schedule at home will be fixed. Kurosawa Hikaru came to sit in front of the sofa and heard the sweet sound of a piano coming from a door not far away. A piece by Paganini. Hearing the beautiful violin sound, Kurosawa recognized the track and it felt very fresh. Because he used to come to tutoring classes at a fixed time every time. Even if he arrived early, it would only take 5 minutes at most. He had never been nearly an hour early like today. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 531. After a while, Akai Sayaka brought a glass of ice water and snacks and put them on the table. Then, she did not stay here for long and walked into the piano practice room. This apartment is quite large. After all, it is a double-story large flat design. The space inside is not much less than a villa. It can be said to be a top-floor villa in the city center. Sitting on the sofa, Kurosawa Hikaru did not play with his mobile phone, but took out the textbooks and tutoring materials in his briefcase. However, he did not need to review the courses in the third year of high school. He just used this to cover up. His peripheral vision inadvertently glanced at the surveillance in the house. The new mission with the future is called Secret Meeting in the Boudoir, and the mission funds are related to hackers. Obviously, the future hopes that he can handle the surveillance, because in this way, her actions in the apartment can be as free as in the Chasing Wind dojo. In the absence of surveillance, although the maid is still a human surveillance, as long as she knows the limit, she will not care about them at all. After observing, Kurosawa Hikaru called up the task list, opened the task, and read the details. Dating task, secret meeting with Shifunjayuan Mirai in her boudoir. Task objectives, meet in Shifunjayuan's boudoir 4 hours alone, kiss 10 times, make her feel stimulated 5 times. Task deadline, 15 days. Task funds, Master Hacker, Experience Card. Task reward, Master Hacker, Permanent. 4 hours alone. Faced with this task, when he really had to consider how to implement it, Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little headache. Because the time span is too long, he and Mirai have been alone twice so far. One time was 30 minutes, at the Chasing Wind dojo. One time was 60 minutes, at Yobihama's Inn. But now, the task has directly jumped to 240 minutes, that is, 4 hours, which has increased several times. Master Hacker, how strong is this ability? Because it is still an experience card, he has no idea without touching the computer. But what is certain is that the mastery level is equivalent to the world's top level. For hackers of this level, hacking a few surveillance cameras is absolutely easy. But the difficulty of this task is not the surveillance at all, but how to convince the maid. The system requires that they be alone without being seen by anyone, that is, they must meet the conditions of a single man and a single woman, even if there is surveillance. With this in mind, Kurosawa Hikaru is thinking about countermeasures, but he has no clue. Because 4 hours is really too long, compared with the last time, the gap is too big. How to convince the maid is undoubtedly a big problem. Speaking of 4 hours, what do you want to do in the future? After thinking for a while, because he couldn't think of a way, Kurosawa Hikaru's thoughts suddenly went astray. A secret meeting in the boudoir can also be understood as being in the dark under the lamp, and what they pursue is a thrill. In adolescence, or a man and a woman who love each other, being alone in the room for 4 hours, it is absolutely impossible to say that it is innocent and honest and do nothing. The 1 hour he spent at the seaside hotel is still fresh in his memory, and he has endless aftertastes. 4 hours, he must be able to take off right away. Desire is the fundamental driving force for people to change the world and themselves. We have to think of a way. Thinking of the rewards after accomplishing this, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly had unlimited motivation. The mission reward is secondary. If he can really do it under the lamp, he and Mirai will have more time to play. Maybe there is still a bodyguard team on the first floor of the apartment, and he can't go out. But it's also good to move freely in the apartment, just like in the Chasing Wind dojo, the two of them sit together to watch YouTube and movies. Of course, playing is playing, he will never let Mirai lose his ambition. After all, after Mirai is admitted to the University of Tokyo, they will have more time together. Not long after, the piano sound in the practice room calmed down. After a while, Akai Sayaka opened the door and stood at the door to bow and lead the way. Then, a middle-aged woman came out with a violin bag. Her facial features are prominent, her nose is high, and her contour lines are obvious. She looks like a white person. She wears a striped shirt with a black tight long skirt. She is tall, her blonde hair is combed high, and she has an extraordinary temperament. Her face is left with traces of time, with obvious crow's feet, and she looks very serious and old-fashioned. It is difficult to tell the age of white women, and they look older. A 12-year-old white girl, if she is well developed, looks almost 17-18 years old. Because of differences in climate, race, and region, some white women look as old as 50 years old in the eyes of Asians at the age of 30, and have many wrinkles on their faces. In contrast, the age of Asian women is usually difficult to distinguish. Because Asian women look younger, many women look about 23-25 when they are 30 years old. Just like Ninomiya Chizuru, maybe she is 28 years old, but judging from her appearance alone, if you don't know her true identity, you may think she is in her early 20s based on the first impression. Is she the future violin teacher? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised to see her appear. In fact, although he had been tutoring Future for more than a year, he had never met other teachers. Because Future's tutors all work according to strict rules and regulations, that is, when to start class and when to end get out of class, the error is usually no more than 10 minutes. The violin teacher was going straight to the elevator when he suddenly found a handsome young man sitting on the sofa in the living room. He also cast a kind look and nodded slightly to show courtesy. Without much exchange, she followed the maid through the living room and left. She didn't know who Kurosawa Hikaru was, but the person who could appear here was not a servant, and definitely not an ordinary person. In response to such a nod of greeting, Kurosawa Hikaru responded with a polite nod. At the same time, another person walked out of the violin room. "Why are you here so early today?" Mirai Shifenjin walked briskly, wearing a pair of slippers, and walked over after seeing Hikari Kurosawa. "Because I miss you." Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her and responded. Today, she is wearing a black and white long dress, solemn and formal, which is completely different from her recent cool outfits. She looks very ladylike. What do you mean by this look? Does my outfit look ugly? Sifenjayuan Mirai noticed that after he glanced up and down, he fixed his gaze on his face. He was immediately amused and came closer, feigning anger. How is it possible? You are so beautiful. You look good in anything you wear. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and defended. This is the truth. Future's appearance is too good, and she is also tall. She looks good in any kind of clothes. The look in your eyes just now clearly showed that I was not wearing stockings and the skirt I was wearing was so long. You found it boring and disappointing. However, Saifanjayuan Marai ruthlessly exposed his thoughts. This guy just glanced at her, probably because he couldn't see his legs, stockings, or anything else. He immediately lost interest and could only stare at her face. Can you read minds? Kurosawa Hikaru realized that his instinctive reaction had been seen through, and he didn't feel guilty. He stared at her with wide eyes and a look of disbelief on his face. I can't help it. The violin teacher is very strict. She thinks the violin is sacred and needs to be elegant and noble. She has such requirements, so I can only comply with it. When Saifanjayuan saw how playful he was in the future, he rolled his eyes at him, then lowered his head and pulled up the hem of his skirt with both hands, saying helplessly. Maybe she looked beautiful dressed like this, but she knew Kurosawa's preferences. This guy likes beautiful legs very much. Ever since he broke through the layer of paper and the relationship became closer, he has been staring at her legs. She didn't resent this at all, after all, she also liked her long legs. But there was nothing she could do this time. Kurosawa Hikaru came too early, she didn't even have time to finish class and go back to her room to simply take a shower and change clothes. Are you going to do what the teacher asks you to do? This was the first time Kurosawa Hikaru heard about this, and he was very surprised. Yeah, I'm a student. Saifanjayuan nodded in the future and affirmed. A girl who plays the violin is elegant, noble, dignified, and a lady. If she wants to be like this, she must be cultivated from the inside out, and she must wear long skirts. That's right, if the teacher asks, she will naturally do it. Can I ask for anything? Yes, as long as my mother thinks the teacher is right. Saifanjayuan always felt that there was something in his words in the future, so she gave him a playful look and encouraged him to deal with her mother. Forget it. Realizing that he still needed his mother-in-law's consent, Kurosawa Hikaru immediately gave up the idea of making a living out of this matter. He didn't want to deal with his mother-in-law unless necessary. You know, dealing with women is very troublesome. Miss. Soon, Sayakakai came back. I'm going back to my room first, see you later. Sifenuen heard her voice in the future, said something to Kurosawa, turned around and left. Practicing the piano is very physically demanding. After practicing for a long time, even in an air-conditioned room, I sweated a lot. I had to go back to the room to wash myself off. The most important thing was to take care of my hands. Seeing her walking away, Kurosawa Hikaru waited patiently, lost in thought. In fact, driven by desire, he had already figured out how to convince the maid. However, the time to communicate with the maid is very important. I can't say it today, at least until Sunday, at the Zuifen dojo. He hasn't used his skills yet. As long as the surveillance camera hasn't been hacked, in this apartment, he can chat with the future, but he can't have much communication with the maid. Not long after, the time came to around 4:25, and Saifanjayuan walked out of the room early. Her outfit today was not as special as last time. She just wore a white short dress with white silk. The two of them came to the study room as usual. Kurosawa Hikaru checked the completion of her homework, while Mirai first looked at the textbook to find questions and summarized them for reference in class. What will your room look like in the future? After working quietly for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru opened the topic. Do you want to know? Saifanjayuan didn't expect him to ask this in the future, so he immediately became interested and the corners of his mouth slightly raised. She was not surprised by this. Both men and women would be interested in the other half of the room. Yes, I do. Then I'll take some photos for you next time. Sifan future thoughts are very active. Although she doesn't have much time to play with her mobile phone at home, she has the opportunity to do so at Zui Feng Dojo. Knowing this was possible, she thought about how to take photos. She has never taken many photos since she was a child. Because she always has a maid by her side, whether she is going out to play, or attending a birthday party, etc. And Akai Sayaka has received a lot of professional training, and her photography skills are beyond the amateur level. Anyway, she is much better than the average person. What kind of photos? Photos of the room. Take more photos when the time comes, and it's better to take you in the photo. I don't have any photos of you yet. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her sideways, and said seriously, his eyes involuntarily dropped down. Mirai's cold white skin is whiter than the white thigh-high socks, which can be said to be a feast for the eyes. To put it bluntly, he can finish several bowls of rice just by looking at this pair of beautiful legs. Shifunjayuan Mirai looked at him sideways, noticed his gaze, and kept silent, but his mind was turning. She has never taken photos, but she has taken a modeling course for a period of time. The content is how to face the camera. It's just that what kind of photos should be taken to make Kurosawa Hikaru like them is a problem. According to the sexy magazines that men like, the clothes should be exposed and the postures should be charming. Photos are just photos after all. Can I go into your room and take a look? Kurosawa Hikaru saw her thinking, but he didn't expect her to take some photos of him. Instead, he guided her along the topic. Maybe his girlfriend's photos of her are very attractive, but he doesn't have the habit of collecting them. What's more, collecting private photos of your girlfriend is not a good habit. If they are accidentally leaked, there will be endless troubles. As for his private photos with Xiaoyuki, they are just like that. They are just photos with intimate poses. There is no exposure and they are not very revealing. Sure, you can go in after we get married. Shifunjayuan Mirai nodded when he heard this question. Do you have to get married? Even teacher Joanna just now can't enter my room. Women can't, let alone men. Only you and the maid can go in. And my mother and her maid, even my father can't. No way. It's not that there is no way. If you can get the surveillance of this house and not be discovered by anyone, you can go in openly. Shifunjayuan Mirai said this method, looked at him with a squint, and her heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably. Task progress update, let her feel excited, 2/5 times. Get the surveillance. Listening to the system prompt, Kurosawa Hikaru was thoughtful. For example, you find a hacker, let him invade the surveillance, tamper with the data, and cover it with the previous video, so as to conceal the truth. Whatever we do, we will not be discovered. At most, the maid will know. Shifunjayuan Mirai found that he had an idea, nodded slightly, gave him a trick, and encouraged him to find a hacker. This is a method she figured out when she was alone and had nothing to do. Because she is a bird in a cage, she does many things under surveillance, but Kurosawa Hikaru is different, he can move freely. Then I'll think of a way. Kurosawa Hikaru found it very cute when she got excited when she talked about the method. One update today, and everyone is welcome to join the full subscription group. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 532. At 10:30 in the evening, the tutoring class ended. Kurosawa drove away, first went home, put his briefcase at home, picked up a change of clothes, and set off again. Driving to Igarashi's house, he looked up at the house and saw bright lights. After parking the car, Kurosawa Hikaru did not get out of the car immediately. Instead, he took out his mobile phone and planned to send a message to everyone. However, before saying good night, he will look at everyone's messages. Because when taking tutoring classes, I don't have time to play with my mobile phone, so I usually accumulate messages for half a day. Xiao Yuki shared her daily life as always, but there was also a piece of news that was more concerning. Brother Guang, are you free tomorrow? I'm free. What time does the game start tomorrow? After seeing this message, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a moment and understood the purpose of her question. Tomorrow is Friday, September 9th, and the rematch of the National Beauty Contest is about to begin. 9 am. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. After a brief conversation and an agreement for tomorrow, Kurosawa Hikaru read other people's messages and replied to them one by one. After finishing the matter, Kurosawa Hikaru put the phone in his pocket, picked up a bag, and got out of the car and walked towards the house in front of him. Ding dong. Arriving at the front door, Kurosawa Hikaru rang the doorbell. Click. But the next second the doorbell rang, the door was opened. Welcome back. Igarashi Runa stood at the door with a smile on her face. I'm back. Kurosawa opened the door as soon as he saw her. He was so surprised that he couldn't help but laugh along with her. Thanks for the effort. After greeting him, Igarashi Runa pulled him in. How long have you been waiting at the door? Kurosawa Hikaru asked. Not long after, I heard the sound of cars and came over. During the conversation, they came to the living room. Runa Igarashi poured him a glass of water and sat next to him. Are you tired from work? Igarashi Runa took the initiative and asked. Not tired. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. If it were in the past, work would actually be quite tiring, because teaching is very taxing on brain cells and requires seriousness. But it's different now, because his relationship with the future has broken the ice and he has a good balance between work and rest, so he has a lot of time to fish. Are you sweating today? No, I take classes indoors, not outdoors. Oh. Igarashi Runa fell into silence, with a tight feeling in her chest. Let's go take a shower. Seeing her depressed look, how could Kurosawa Hikaru not see through her little thoughts, so he reached out and patted her butt. Finally getting down to business, Igarashi Runa felt happy. Immediately, she saw Kurosawa Hikaru's meaningful smile, her face couldn't help but heat up, a trace of shyness flashed in her eyes, and then she snorted. Went upstairs to the room, took a mandarin duck bath together, and after scrubbing each other, the two of them lay on the bed. A kiss between a middle-aged couple can create a night of nightmares. However, couples who have just gotten together are in a passionate stage, as if they have endless energy to vent. Early in the morning, Kurosawa Hikaru and Igarashi Runa set out. If we go to pick up Miss Ichino's together, will it make her think too much? Igarashi Runa, who was sitting in the driver's seat and driving, couldn't help but ask. Probably not. You were meant to go. Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little guilty when he heard this. As a manager, and related to Ichino's Yuki's debut, Igarashi Runa really wanted to go. Really? Igarashi Runa thought about it and felt it made sense. Regardless of the answer, they hope not. Not long after, they arrived at the door of Ichino's house and received someone. Brother Hikaru, Miss Igarashi, good morning. Ichino's Yuki just got in the car and greeted her with a sweet smile. Good morning. Kurosawa nodded slightly. Miss Ichino's, today is the competition. Are you confident? Igarashi Runa, who was sitting in the front seat, turned around and asked. Have. Yuki Ichino's is determined to win this beauty pageant. Because this is related to her debut as the champion of the National Beauty Contest. The blessing of this status will be of great help in entering the entertainment industry. That's good. The most important thing for participating in this kind of competition is confidence. Your appearance can beat all the players. Keep this mentality and work hard. Igarashi Runa is very good at encouraging artists and doing ideological work for them. Good. Yuki Ichino's nodded. Before this, she had communicated with Miss Igarashi many times and fully understood her advantages. In addition, they sat together and studied photos of other contestants. It may be the audition stage, but the agent has special connections, so she doesn't need to go looking for them herself. Friends will help her screen out potential artist contestants. If you reach a cooperation, you only need to pay an introduction fee. This is called professionalism. Seeing their conversation, Kurosawa Hikaru realized that Ichino's Yuki was really on fire and couldn't help but think. Originally, he wanted to encourage Xiao Yuki, but now it seems that he doesn't need to take action. Miss Igarashi is so beautiful today. After gathering up the energy, Ichino's Yuki placed his eyes on Igarashi Runa's face and couldn't help but take a few more glances. Weren't you beautiful before? Igarashi Runa was stunned when he heard this and felt a little guilty. She was beautiful before, but she is especially beautiful today. Yuki Ichino's has always had sharp eyes and strong observation skills. Today's Miss Igarashi is really super beautiful, full of femininity, her every move and smile, and her conversation and laughter are full of charm. After saying that, she suddenly realized something and looked at Kurosawa Hikaru beside her. How does this beauty contest compare? Kurosawa Hikaru noticed her gaze and quickly changed the subject. This girl's powers of observation are terrifying. She can see every detail clearly. Could she have discovered it? I can't tell clearly, let Miss Igarashi tell you. Ichino's Yuki had indeed guessed it. She turned her beautiful eyes and didn't point it out. She just said, "Have you ever seen a beauty pageant?" No. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. How could he have seen this kind of competition, but he had heard of Miss Hong Kong before. The format of the National Beauty Contest is similar to that of beauty pageants in other countries, which relies on face, body, and voting. The audition rules for this competition are that all contestants should associate with the competition activities on Twitter and upload their personal recorded videos. This video does not allow for beautification or makeup, and must appear without makeup. If the official judges deem it qualified in terms of appearance and figure, you will be able to pass the audition. Miss Igarashi helped me skip the audition. Ichino's Yuki seized the opportunity and spoke. Miss Ichino's, I can't say whether I can help you or not. I just signed up for you as an agent. I just sent your photo to the official and you passed the audition because you are so beautiful. That's also thanks to you for helping me sign up, otherwise I wouldn't know what to do. How will we compare in today's rematch? Seeing that they were getting along well, Kurosawa Hikaru also made every possible effort to ask questions. The semi-finals are to go to competition points set up across the country, conduct on-site interviews, and face the judges directly. Videos will be taken by official personnel. Players will have to face the camera to introduce themselves and answer some questions, such as height, weight, blood type, zodiac sign, and school. On-the-job work, hobbies, etc. are collected into the basic information of the players and numbered. In this round, a large number of contestants will be further screened, mainly to confirm that there is no difference between the real person and the photo, and whether the appearance is good enough. Ms. Ichino's will pass the second round easily. In other words, today I am going to the scene to face the camera and record a video. Hikaru Kurosawa has some realization. Miss Ichino's, are there many people who know about your relationship with Kurosawa? It's quite a lot, my friends all know it. Then do your classmates know? My classmates vaguely know that I have a boyfriend, but they don't know that it's Brother Guang. Brother Guang has never been to my school. If you say you are single, is it possible that your classmates will expose that you are not single? No one knows whether I am single or not. It should be impossible. Do I have to show that I am single? Ichi-nose Yuki thought about it for a while, and after responding, he couldn't help but ask. Under normal circumstances, as long as you are an idol artist, both men and women must maintain a single personality, because this will affect your popularity with the public. Igarashi Runa did not deny it, but explained. This is common sense in the industry and is also the epitome of the Asian entertainment industry. Artists' freedom of love is only acceptable to fans in Europe and the United States. After learning this rule, Ichi-nose Yuki couldn't help but glance at Kurosawa Hikaru. She was not sure whether announcing that she was single would make Brother Guang unhappy. There is no need to make a single declaration. The business route I have planned for Yuki is to be a brand spokesperson. She has a boyfriend. For female fans, it doesn't matter. Kurosawa Hikaru was not so narrow-minded, but noticed a look of embarrassment on Ichi-nose Yuki's face, and spoke at the right time. That's fine, if you have a boyfriend and you create a single persona, once it's revealed, the consequences will be serious. Seeing him speaking forcefully, Igarashi Runa was not surprised and nodded. Perhaps the rules of the entertainment industry are like this. Many artist agencies even prohibit artists from falling in love. If they are found to be in love, they will face sky-high liquidated damages. In addition, some agencies find that an artist is in love and will give the artist two options, one is to break up, and the other is to stay cold. Because if an artist is not single, his attractiveness to fans will be greatly reduced. In the final analysis, the most important fan base of an artist is the opposite sex. For example, fans of female artists are mainly male fans, and vice versa. But the situation of Ichi-nose Yuki is still different. She is in a relationship with the boss of the company, and it is impossible to suppress her internally. As for the issue of fans and audience, Lingxi, a rising artist, has appointed her as the heroine of many piano music MVS. It is hard to imagine whether she will become popular. And she had already heard about Kurosawa's plan. Create a fashion brand, with Zero Generation as the spokesperson for menswear and Yuki Ichi-nose as the spokesperson for women's wear. Although this plan has not yet been implemented, the development route has been set. But, will the brand clothing you plan to design work? Igarashi Runa deliberately questioned. Of course it can. A man can't say no, Kurosawa Hikaru naturally answered this question. He has master-level makeup, which gives him a genius vision and experience in makeup and clothing matching. He has master-level painting skills, which allows him to draw his ideas and designs. As 0 Hour, he now has unparalleled influence and publicity capabilities, with his own traffic, and it costs almost nothing to advertise. In addition, the company has just signed a large contract of 100 billion yuan, and there is a lot of cash flow to use. These four conditions are combined together. As long as he doesn't set the price too outrageous, a big sale is an inevitable result. Branded clothing. Ichi-nose Yuki was a little curious. She only knew that Brother Guang planned to let her be the heroine of many MVS, and she hadn't heard of it. Kurosawa, didn't you tell her? Igarashi Runa was a little surprised. The plan hasn't started yet, it's meaningless to say it too early. Kurosawa Hikaru shrugged, he didn't like to paint a pie for people. In order to make your modeling career go smoothly, Kurosawa rejected many clothing endorsement contracts and planned to sell clothes himself and let you endorse women's clothing. If this goes well, you don't need to make too many announcements in the future. You can make a lot of money by walking in fashion shows and regularly shooting new brand clothing. Igarashi Runa spoke decisively when she found that he really didn't say it. As a wingman, she is so professional in providing assists. Brother Guang. Ichi-nose Yuki didn't expect him to do so much for her. Her beautiful eyes widened and she was at a loss for a moment, not knowing how to thank him. Don't rush to thank me. This hasn't started yet. It's still in the planning stage. Let's wait until the first batch of clothes goes on sale and the sales are good. Kurosawa Guang saw that she was hesitant to speak, and also comforted her. As he said that, he couldn't help but glance at Igarashi Runa. It has to be said that it's too cool for the person involved to convey this matter through the mouth of others. Yeah. Yuki Ichinos nodded with a confused mind. After talking for a while, Runa Igarashi officially set off. Along the way, he also reminded them of some necessary matters. At 8:06, they arrived at a TV station. The Neon National Beauty Contest is a national beauty contest started in 1987. Every session will accept applications from girls aged 13-19 nationwide. The number of participants each year is at least tens of thousands, and the highest number is as high as 110,000. For such a competition, any contestant who enters the finals will accumulate a certain amount of fame and foundation because of the continuous promotion and momentum, and it will be easier for them to enter the entertainment industry. If you win the championship, it will be even more with much attention. The champion can become famous overnight. Igarashi Runa is familiar with this competition. After parking the car in the parking lot, he took the two people to the floor of the venue. The corridor on the third floor of the TV station was very lively, with hundreds of people. The contestants who participated in this kind of competition were all girls with good appearance. They were either accompanied by friends or came alone. There were also many people accompanied by their parents. Many contestants were waiting for the start of the competition and preparing themselves mentally. Some staff members were also walking in the corridor. When they saw someone secretly putting on makeup, they immediately went to remind them. This contestant, please pay attention. You can't put on makeup in the semi-finals. You have to wait until the elimination rounds start. I didn't put on makeup, just concealer. I didn't sleep well last night, and I have a little dark circles under my eyes. The 16-year-old girl, who was holding a makeup mirror to cover her blemishes, immediately defended herself when she heard this. She was pretty, very popular in school, and had many suitors. But after arriving at the beauty pageant, she saw many girls who were prettier than her, so she couldn't help but want to cover her blemishes and make herself look better. You can put on makeup if you like, but you will lose points if the judges find out. The staff was really speechless. Covering blemishes is also makeup. What does this child think of makeup? Does it have to be eyeshadow, lipstick, etc.? Ugly people are more likely to do bad things. As they talked, a girl with delicate and beautiful looks and natural beauty not far away, named Koizumi Taiko, shook her head and thought with amusement. The Neon National Beauty Girl Contest is not something that anyone can participate in. Only beautiful girls like her who are school beauties are qualified to move forward. With just one glance, she could conclude that this girl was not a threat. She immediately stood upright by the wall, her eyes patrolled again, observing today's opponent. Ugly girl. Average stuff. Ordinary. How dare you come to participate with this appearance? Koizumi Taiko looked around, and the more she looked, the more confident she became. Without comparison, there is no beauty or ugliness. Before coming to the TV station, she actually lacked confidence, because this kind of beauty pageant is too much about appearance, and she is not narcissistic enough to think that she is the most beautiful girl in the world. For example, Miss Adeline, that is the beauty that can crush everything. Take the first place in the region today. Koizumi Taiko couldn't find an opponent at all, and her self-confidence gradually swelled. In her opinion, none of the contestants today can beat her. Wow! It's Miss Igarashi. Just then, Koizumi Taiko heard an exclamation. Is a celebrity coming? Koizumi Taiko looked in the direction of the voice with doubt in her heart, and saw an extremely stunning and beautiful older sister. I will update once today, and my condition is not very good, sorry. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 533. This is too beautiful. When Taiko Koizumi heard the noise, she was stunned at first sight. It was a big sister with short silver gray hair, a suit shirt with a tight long skirt, an oval face, delicate facial features, mature and charming. Her curvy figure and proud chest were enough to make all the girls pale in comparison. Boys like to compare sizes, and so do girls. She was hit at just one glance, and couldn't help but look down at her chest, and the difference was obvious. However, what really made her pale in comparison was her capable and gentle temperament. That temperament was so beautiful, like a blooming rose, beautiful beyond description. This big sister looks at least 20 years old, she should not be a contestant. Taiko Koizumi took a few more careful glances and comforted herself in her heart. The requirements for the Neon National Beauty Contest are 13-19 years old. It is impossible to participate if you are over this age. She knew Adilina, but she didn't know Igarashi Runa. This is quite normal, because Adilina is now a national goddess in Japan. Although she is not an artist, she has become famous all over the country with an MV and a concert. Her photos are circulated on the internet, major SNS, social software, and Twitter. Her cold and noble beauty, elegant and intellectual temperament, can be called a divine face, so beautiful that people sigh. However, before she could breathe a sigh of relief, her peripheral vision suddenly swept a beautiful figure. Then, her sight was like being attracted by a magnet, and it was difficult to escape. I saw a super beautiful girl following behind the side of the beautiful big sister with silver gray short hair. Her eyebrows were curved, her eyelashes were like fans, and on her delicate face without makeup, her nose was high, her skin was as white as snow, and her cherry mouth revealed a pink color, which looked very cute. What is amazing is that she has a pair of super beautiful big eyes. Clear, pure, clean, smart, a pair of blue eyes, as crystal clear as gems. She wore a silk chiffon dress with a shoulder strap, smooth shoulders, clavicle like a bridge, and snow-white gooseneck. She was very sweet and tender, and her beauty seemed to glow, giving people a feeling of floating like a fairy. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, cute, young, and tender, pure and moving. Is she also a contestant? Seeing her appearance, an extremely dangerous guess emerged in Koizumi Taiko's mind. If this beautiful girl also participated in the competition, then her original expectation of being the first in the region would be in vain. You must know that beauty is the easiest to distinguish between high and low. Unlike music, dance, and basketball, which need to be demonstrated to appreciate strength, beauty can be seen by the naked eye as long as you are not blind. This girl is so beautiful, as if she came out of a comic book. At first glance, she is so beautiful. Looking closely, she is impeccable. No. She's not here to compete for the first place in the region, she's here to compete for the championship. Coming back to her senses, Koizumi Taiko's thoughts were flying, and her face looked very ugly. Ever since she was 13 years old and decided to participate in the Neon National Beauty Girl Contest, she has specifically checked the previous champions on the internet. This contest is held annually, and it has been the 36th since its inception in 1987. She has watched all the previous champions, although they are all very beautiful, and many national-level female stars have emerged. However, she still claims that her beauty exceeds at least half of the previous champions. This is not a matter of high expectations, but a fact, because beauty can be seen at a glance. It was precisely because of this that she did not participate in the competition at the first time, but chose to wait and began to hone herself. Go to bed and get up early, exercise your body, eat light food, take care of your skin, practice dancing and singing, and especially wait for your beauty to grow further. Her goal is very clear, that is, the champion, with the help of the achievement of the first national beauty in 2022, she will take advantage of the wind and enter the entertainment industry. As for the runner-up, it is worthless. No one will remember who the runner-up of the National Beauty Contest is. You know, no matter what kind of competition, the champion will always be remembered by the world. This is especially true for this kind of beauty competition. What should I do? There is no chance of winning the championship if I am in the same class as her. Do you want to give it a try? Compete with makeup and talent. But are other awards meaningful? Koizumi Ryoko's eyes were completely attracted, but her mind was uneasy and restless. The All Neon Beauty Contest has a history of 36 years in Neon this year. It is an authoritative event for discovering and cultivating stars nationwide. Every competition will be supported by many consortiums. The winner will be packaged and promoted by the entertainment company and become a new generation of idol stars in Neon, which is a good springboard. There are 7 awards in total, including the Special Award, the Judges' Special Award, the Best Performance Award, the Best Model Award, the Best Singing Award, the Best Talent Award, and the Most Media Attention Award. Although there are many awards, she has done some research and found that even if you win the championship, which means you are the most beautiful girl in the country, there are still cases where you are forgotten by the crowd. To put it simply, even if you win the championship, it does not mean that you will definitely become popular. If you don't do well in the future, you will still disappear. This is the case for champions, let alone winners of other awards. I don't know if I can still participate next year if I withdraw now. Koizumi Ryoko thought about it, timidly looked away, and began to look for the staff. That's right, she wants to retire from the competition. She plans to avoid his edge and fight again next year. Because the moment she saw this beautiful blonde girl, she realized that this girl would definitely win the championship. Competing with her on the same stage is completely humiliating oneself. Instead of accompanying her to win runner-up or other awards, she would rather wait another year. The beauty and charm of this blonde girl are enough to crush any competition. It can be said that she dominates the crowd as soon as she appears on the stage, eclipsing hundreds of girls in the corridor. To put it bluntly, if such a god-level appearance fails to win the championship, it will either be due to a shady story, or there will be a super beautiful girl who is as good as her, and she will fight with gods. Sorry, can you interrupt me? Ryoko Koizumi quickly found the staff and walked over to talk to him. Are you a player named Ryoko Koizumi? The staff member who was spoken to was a man in his 30s. He was still looking at the combination of Igarashi Runa and Ichino's Yuki. He turned around after hearing this, looked at her, and said doubtfully. I'm Ryoko Koizumi, how do you know my name? Excuse me, what can I do for you? I'm not feeling well. If I apply to withdraw from the competition now, can I compete again next year? Are you sick? Is it serious? My stomach hurts. Is the situation serious? Do you want me to call an ambulance for you? No, I can just go to the hospital by myself. Please wait a moment, let me ask for instructions. The staff member nodded slightly, then took out his mobile phone and made a call. After a while, he hung up the phone, turned around and said. Koizumi, if you feel unwell, go to the hospital first. You don't have to withdraw from the game. After you recover, you can just come to the TV station to record the introduction of the players in the rematch in the next few days. Can't I quit? It's not that you can't withdraw from the competition, but you don't have to withdraw from the competition. In fact, before all the contestants come to the scene to wait for the start of the competition, the judges will monitor and observe everyone's performance. Your appearance score is very high, and there are several in the audition stage. The judges are paying close attention to you. The judges have confirmed your appearance and photos through monitoring, and by default you have passed the semi-finals. This. When Ryoko Koizumi heard this, she didn't know how to react. Of course she knew that it would be easy for her to reach the finals due to her appearance. After all, if her beauty was used in many competitions, it would be very possible for her to win the championship. But the problem is that in this competition, a super beautiful girl came out that made her look dwarfed by her appearance alone, and she knew she couldn't compare to her. Strong people like Koizumi Ryoko are timid, and others are even more so. However, any self-aware player will feel full of crisis after seeing Yuki Ichino's appear, and they will be overshadowed. How does this compare? Many beautiful girls are desperate. Suppose they saw Ryoko Koizumi and wanted to compete against Yuki Ichino's, they had no intention of fighting at all. However, there are very few players who want to withdraw from the competition. Because not everyone is like Koizumi Ryoko, who is aiming for the championship. Many people participate casually, the emphasis is on participation, and they simply want to see how far they can go. Although it caused quite a stir, Yuki Ichino's, the person involved, was completely unaware of it. It's so lively. Yuki Ichino's was used to being stared at by everyone, so she just looked around, curious about this competition. Really? Kurosawa wore a mask and sunglasses and looked around. Although Yuki Ichino's does not plan to declare her single status, if she wins the championship, she will become the most beautiful girl in the country. With her aura added, she will definitely attract much attention. In other words, as a boyfriend, he is likely to be noticed by interested people. That's why, in such crowded situations, hiding one's face can avoid a lot of trouble. Brother Guang, look, there's a beauty there. At this moment, Ichino's Yuki noticed Ryoko Koizumi talking to the staff and tugged Kurosawa Hikaru's arm. Not as beautiful as you. Kurosawa glanced at it and then looked away, whispering. He was a little speechless and asked his boyfriend to look at the beautiful woman. What was Xiao Yuki doing? Do you still want him to find a sixth one? In a place like this, there are quite a lot of beauties and the quality is quite high. Having said that, beauties are beauties, and compared with his girlfriends, there is still a clear gap. Hearing his whisper, Ichino's Yuki smiled, feeling very excited and high. Although she lacks in overall charm compared to the two monsters Ninomiya Chizuru and Shifen Jinmarai, her beauty is obvious to all here. Today is the second update, but the second update has been reviewed. I want to think of a solution. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 534. When the time came to 9 o'clock, the competition was divided into groups for interviews under the command of the staff. There are 578 people, divided into 58 groups, with 10 people in each group. When their names are called, they have to go out. In the first stage of the interview, the rules are very simple and rough, which is to form a team and enter the photography venue where the judges are located, and stand in a row on the stage. Just tell others your name, age, what you are good at, and show off your appearance. The evaluation method at this stage is not just based on faces, but also based on comprehensive scores, such as body shape, temperament, appearance characteristics, and talents. For example, your facial features are not very beautiful, but you have a pair of beautiful eyes, or you have a good temperament, a good figure, and a nice voice. However, the proportion of talent points is the lowest. After all, this is a beauty pageant, not a singing competition or a dancing competition. There are a total of 5 judges. Only 2 or more judges need to approve it to enter the second stage of player introduction. This screening method is very simple and crude, and very efficient. In just a few hours, most of the contestants were eliminated, leaving less than 50 people. The number of such promotions is actually quite large. You know, the National Beauty Contest not only has a division in Tokyo, but also all over the country. There are a total of 12 neon cities. Even if 50 people are selected from each region, there are still 600 contestants. In the Tokyo division, the most eye-catching player is naturally Yuki Ichino's, who completely overshadows all the players. The game did not last forever, the morning was just the end of the first stage, and the afternoon was the main game. However, when the time came for dinner, the contestants, judges, and organizer staff all had to eat, so it was temporarily stopped and would continue until 2 p.m. During the intermission, which lasted for more than an hour, Kurosawa and the three of them left the TV station and found a nearby restaurant with booths to eat. I have communicated with the judges, and I will let you be the first to record the player introduction in the afternoon. Today's work is temporarily over, and we will wait for the next announcement. At the dinner table, Igarashi Runa also spoke. Can we leave after filming? Kurosawa Hikaru answered. Right. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly. So easy. Yuki Ichino's couldn't help saying that she didn't even need to wait when she went to the TV station. She could just leave after filming. Because you are beautiful, everything you do is easy. In the entertainment industry, beauty is the most powerful weapon. Igarashi Runa looked at her beautiful and picturesque appearance and took the opportunity to cultivate her self-confidence. In fact, with Yuki Ichino's appearance, she is considered to be the top beauty girl in the entertainment industry. To participate in such a beauty contest is completely a dimensionality reduction blow. In fact, the positioning of the National Beauty Contest is quite embarrassing. Real beautiful girls don't need to participate in this kind of competition at all, they will be discovered by talent scouts, valued by agencies, and debut on the spot. If you have time to compete, it is better to spend your time on training and improve your talents in a targeted manner. Most of the contestants who came to compete were unknown contestants who had not been spotted by talent scouts. Talent scouts look down on contestants who have not been able to discover them. Even if they are beautiful, they are not considered top-notch in the entertainment industry. The average level of the contestants is not high enough, and the public's aesthetics are elevated by beauty idols in the entertainment industry. Therefore, the champion of the beauty contest is often not recognized by the audience. The winner of the National Beauty Contest was once short of gold. It's just that in recent years, the champion of the National Beauty Contest has become more valuable because of the appearance of beautiful girls who only meet once in 1,000 years or thousands of years. After being promoted, what will Yuki do in the next round? Kurosawa Hikaru also understood this and said curiously. In this era, beauty can really be eaten. Even if you are a flower vase, because of the existence of the entertainment industry, as long as you are beautiful enough, you can easily make money that many people cannot make in their lifetime. Of course, the entertainment industry is also quite dangerous. People without background are easily in danger of being unwritten rules, being secretly threatened, and being put in cold storage. However, with him here, Xiao Yuki does not need to worry about this situation when entering the entertainment industry. The only drawback is that once you become famous, people will pay attention to you when you go out on the street. But there is a solution to this problem. Just wear a wig and a mask, and try to avoid appearing in public areas with a lot of people. Actually, after filming the contestant introductions, we haven't advanced yet. Regarding this question, Igarashi Runa also answered their questions. The National Beauty Girl Contest is mainly judged based on 5 basic criteria: brilliant and beautiful appearance, intellect and taste, mystery personality that makes people feel eternal beauty, female toughness and gentleness. After the contestants take photos of their introductions, the judges will conduct a round of review. Players will be ranked based on their performance in front of the camera. After the ranking is over, some players will be eliminated, and then it will enter the knockout round. The official website of the program organizer will upload the contestants' introduction videos, start voting, and observe the profits after the exposure. During the voting period, officials will also issue announcements. For example, players with excellent statistics will be invited to appear on TV stations to record programs, that is, to appear on TV. At this time, the players need to start showing off their talents. Beauty plus any card is a trump card, such as education, family, IQ, background, talent, but a single card is a dead card. The elimination round will last for a long time, and when there are about 20 contestants left, they will enter the finals. Before the finals, the official will find teachers to provide further professional training for these contestants. When will Xiaoyuki's video be uploaded to the official website of the program team? Kurosawa Hikaru had a general understanding of this competition and asked again. It will be done in a few hours, and the video should be released around 8-9 o'clock tonight. As a practitioner in the entertainment industry, Igarashi Runa knows a lot about this kind of thing. Then wait for the video to be released together in the office tonight and see how netizens react. After getting this answer, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and suggested. Although this beauty pageant should be a sure win for Xiaoyuki, and she can win it without any effort. But for Xiaoyuki, this is a key step in her debut after all, and she must pay enough attention to it. Okay. Yuki Ichinose was worried that she would have to separate from Guang after filming the video. Now that she heard that they were going to the agency together, she was naturally very happy. Okay. Igarashi Runa had no objection to this. I had rested at home for a day yesterday, and there was a lot of work piled up. It was just right to go back to the agency to deal with it. After lunch, they rested in the restaurant. When it was almost time, they went to the TV station again. The introduction of the contestants was very simple, and there was no need to show talents. It was done in a short while. At 2:36 p.m., Igarashi Runa drove them back to the agency. After returning to the company, she went to deal with work. Maybe the agency is still small, but the reputation of 0 Hour is too big, and the business cooperation it brings is endless. Yesterday, she was at home, and although she communicated with all parties smoothly through the phone, the work cannot be solved by just one phone call. When it comes to business cooperation, you must be cautious, communicate further with representatives of all parties, do your best to avoid omissions, confirm matters, and hand over the work in place. Most importantly, these collaborations must be reviewed by Kurosawa Hikaru. It was still early, so Kurosawa Hikaru and Ichinose Yuki went to the lounge on the 3rd floor. Brother Hikaru. Finally, they were alone together. Ichinose Yuki saw Kurosawa Hikaru close the door and turn on the air conditioner. When he sat down, she ran over and sat beside him, calling him sweetly. What's wrong? Kurosawa Hikaru saw her bright smile and smiled along with her. This girl, I don't know what she is laughing at all day long, but she can always laugh so happily. Being with her is like raising a golden retriever, which feels very healing. It's okay, I just want to hug you. Ichinose Yuki shook her head, stretched out her hand to hold his arm in her arms, and rubbed her little head on his shoulder. Seeing that she wanted to get close, Kurosawa Hikaru just laughed, and she leaned on her arm behind her back, so she took advantage of the situation and put her arm around her waist. Men are not honest. When you are in contact with girls, you can't expect his hands to be motionless. That's impossible. Brother Guang, thank you. After hugging for a while, Ichinose Yuki couldn't help but speak. What do you mean? Kurosawa Hikari, who was touching his waist, really didn't expect this reaction. You are going to help me shoot MVS and create a clothing brand for me, I don't know how to repay you. Ichinose Yuki sighed and couldn't help saying. She originally thought that after she became a model and made money, she would buy a supercar and a luxury villa for Brother Guang. But today on the way to the TV station, what Miss Igarashi said made her realize that Brother Guang helped her too much. Do you want to know how to repay me? Kurosawa Hikari looked at her sideways and found that she looked depressed, so he asked. I want to. Ichinose Yuki raised her eyes to meet his eyes, and suddenly her face was a little hot. Brother Guang wouldn't make any strange requests, right? As long as you are happy every day, it is the best reward for me. Kurosawa Hikari's left hand was no longer on her waist, but on her head, gently touching her head. In fact, after he signed the 100 billion contract with Apple, he could have done nothing. You know, 100 billion is just the copyright agency fee, and there will be sales share later. As long as he cooperates with Apple to record songs and waits for the first album to be released, he can just lie down and count money every day. However, he still wants to build a clothing brand and further develop his work. In fact, he is not satisfied with the status quo. You know, he has 5 girlfriends, 100 billion, this money is not enough. Second update is here. Sorry, this chapter was reviewed last night and it came out in the morning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 535. The program team of the National Beauty Contest released new updates on SNS. The results of the semi-finals promotion will be announced at 9 p.m. In the lounge of 0 Hour Office, 3 people were sitting around the sofa, looking at laptops. Yuki-chan, you are here. Kurosawa held the mouse and operated the computer. After 9 o'clock, he refreshed the web page and finally saw Yuki Ichino's name on the player introduction page without scrolling up or down. Why are you in the first row? Ichino's Yuki glanced at it, suddenly a little shy. Her academic performance has been just like that since she was a child, and she has never had the experience of being among the best. No 005. Seeing this situation, Igarashi Runa looked at the faces of the 2 girls in front. What's wrong with the number? Kurosawa Hikaru noticed a strange look on her face and asked. Seeing this, Ichino's Yuki also cast a curious look. Before recording the player introductions in the afternoon, officials explained that each player's number was random. Although the official said that there is no distinction between high and low numbers, in fact there is a distinction. The smaller the number, the more important it is to the official. And according to the number sequence, the smaller the number, the easier it is to be seen by the audience and fans. Attract votes. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly and explained. Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru clicked on the player page numbered 001, which came with a video-recorded personal introduction. This girl looks about 16 years old. She has very delicate and beautiful facial features, fair skin, and long legs. She has a slender and tall figure. She is 168 centimeters tall. Although she looks young, she is also pure and charming. With such a superior appearance, I am afraid that she has countless suitors since she was a child. No matter which school she goes to, she is the well-deserved number 1 school beauty. Although there is no strict height requirement for neon models, anyone who is 160 meters can be used as a model. But if you are taller, as long as you are not over 1.8 meters tall, generally speaking, height is a bonus. She is quite beautiful, but compared to Miss Ichino's, she is obviously lacking. Igarashi Runa looked at the video and said. Do you suspect there's something shady? Kurosawa Hikaru had the same opinion. Maybe beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but putting aside subjectivity and purely judging by appearance, Xiao Yuki's appearance is close to perfect, with one of the few shortcomings, that is, her height is not outstanding enough. With 2 sets of photos, Koyuki was once very popular in Tokyo circles and her potential could be seen. Although Xiao Yuki's fame is gradually fading because she has not released new photos for a long time, this is just a slumber before her official debut. It's not so shady. The National Beauty Contest is jointly funded by many financial groups, and there is a good guarantee in terms of fairness. However, the number can reveal the opinions of the judging panel. Igarashi Runa shook her head and explained. Since it's not a shady case, why is Xiao Yuki ranked 5th? Kurosawa frowned, a little unhappy. Although he didn't finish reading the introductions of the 4 contestants, he could tell just from the number 001 that Xiaoyuki was definitely more beautiful. Igarashi Runa fell into deep thought and suddenly glanced sideways at them. Is it possible that I am not single? Today I recorded an introduction video, and when I said that I am not single and have a boyfriend, the judge's expressions changed. Yuki Ichinose noticed her gaze and suddenly spoke. As soon as these words came out, the other two people looked at her. Then, the room fell into silence. I have to admit, this sentence really hits the point. No wonder Xiaoyuki was numbered 005. Despite her superior appearance, at least 4 contestants were more favored by the judges. For artists, the difference in value between being single or not is huge. In a sense, the fact that Yuki Ichinose was ranked 005 when she was in a relationship was already the result of the judges being lenient. It's a little bad. Igarashi Runa came back to her senses and couldn't help but said. Originally, in her opinion, Ichinose Yuki's desire to win the title of National Beauty Girl Champion of the Year was completely easy and a sure shot. But at this moment, she felt unsure. What I have to admit is that if a girl has a boyfriend, she is not that attractive to the opposite sex. Although it doesn't matter whether the artist Ichinose Yuki is single or not, because 0 Hour serves as a backstage and backer to pave the way for her. But for other shows, it matters whether you are single. If you are not single, that is a big minus. In addition, because 80% of the viewers and fans of the beauty pageant are men, everyone will lose interest if they find out that Yuki Ichinose is not single. Perhaps there is almost no contact between artists and fans in real life, and there may even be no actual contact in a lifetime, but this does not affect fans' fantasies and dreams of becoming lovers with their idols. It has to be said that even if she is a top manager and has managed dozens of artists, she has no experience in public relationships with artists. Even if her artists are in love, they are under her supervision and must keep their secrets. Sister Runa, does Xiaoyuki still have a chance to win the championship? Kurosawa Hikaru also thought about a lot and asked. Yes, Miss Ichinose can still rank 5th despite being in a relationship. It can be seen from the side that her overall score is very high in the eyes of the judging panel. Igarashi Runa nodded, but lacked confidence. The winners of any previous beauty contest, even if they were not the champions, had never been in a relationship. Perhaps in this era, love is free and you can date whoever you want. But for artists, if you want to love freely, others have no right to stop you. But if others are not interested in you or like you, you have no right to stop others. Can the comprehensive score be not high? Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but said after hearing this. If Xiaoyuki hadn't said that she was dating and had a boyfriend, the moment she decided to participate, there would have been no doubt about her title as the most powerful beautiful girl of the year. In fact, the program team probably did not expect this result. Because the program team will ask about their relationship status during the introduction of the contestants. In fact, it is to allow the contestants to express their views on love, which is usually a bonus. Sorry. Ichinose Yuki lowered her head, a little frustrated. Why are you apologizing? It's not your fault. Kurosawa touched her head and comforted her. Miss Ichinose, you don't have to be too depressed. You have a good chance of winning the championship. Seeing her depressed mood, Igarashi Runa came to her senses and immediately cheered up. Runa, how can you show your timidity in front of an artist? At the same time, she was also upset in her heart and blamed herself. The manager's duty is to help the artist solve problems. If even she panics and is afraid, the artist's situation will only be worse. However, she quickly realized the problem. This was because she couldn't help but show her weak side in front of Kurosawa, the person she liked. Yeah, I'll try my best. Facing their comfort, Ichinose Yuki came back to her senses, forced a smile and nodded, forcing herself to cheer up. The evaluation criteria for the special award are 40% of the online vote and 60% of the review vote. We disrupt the plan and ask Kurosawa to shoot a MV for you first to help you gain popularity and fans. Igarashi Runa calmed down, thought about it, and came up with a countermeasure. Are you going to mess up the plan? Hearing this, Yuki Ichinose felt even more guilty. Although the most ideal situation is for you to debut as the most powerful beautiful girl of the year, it will be more beneficial to your debut. But the plan cannot keep up with the changes, so we can put it another way. Seeing her depressed mood, Igarashi Runa winked at her man while explaining. For example, Kurosawa Hikaru noticed her eye contact and answered. As 0 hour, please explain why we changed the heroine of the MV this time. The first reason is that your girlfriend, Adelina, doesn't want to be an artist. The second reason is that you think Yuki Ichinose fits the image of the heroine of this MV very well. As long as you are optimistic about her and she performs well in the MV, your fans will fall in love with her and be influenced by you, and their view of her will be greatly changed. At that time, I will run it again, let people pretend to be the crowd, and recognize that the heroine this time is Yuki Ichinose, who is participating in the National Beauty Contest. Not to mention at least some of the fans were diverted to support her. If this was achieved, the online voting would be settled. After Igarashi Runa calmed down, her thoughts changed quickly. If you have the trump card, you can do whatever you want. How many fans are there in 0 hour? There are tens of millions of YouTube subscribers and tens of millions of Twitter fans. These are not all, because there are still many followers who do not follow the trends specifically on Twitter and YouTube. Once 0 hour fans enter the venue, the voting session of this competition will be a dimensionality reduction attack. Because Ichinose Yuki's back to 0 is like stepping on the shoulders of giants, and the attention of other players is not at the same level as hers. Then do it. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it for a while and felt that this method was feasible. In fact, he has long wanted to shoot a MV for Xiao Yuki. However, Igarashi Runa made plans for Ichinose Yuki's career and wanted to wait until she won the National Beauty Girl Championship. Miss Ichinose, the judges should have a neutral attitude towards the fact that you are not single. In other words, you need to perform better in the subsequent competition sessions to get their high scores. But don't worry, Kurosawa and I will help you. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly and concluded. Good. Even though Ichinose Yuki didn't have any confidence, he didn't want to show his cowardice, lest they worry about him. You don't have to worry too much. Starting from the next stage, contestants will be able to put on makeup. With Kurosawa's skills and his understanding of you, he will apply makeup on you a few times and blind the judges' eyes to win. However, Igarashi Runa is very accurate about the artist's condition, and he sees that she is more sensible and does not want to make people worry, so he added. Right, Kurosawa. For better effect, she also nudged Kurosawa with her elbow. It doesn't matter, I will take action. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded slightly and said proudly. Yuki has a good foundation, and with his mastery of makeup, it is not impossible to amaze the world. Pht, Brother Guang, you look so arrogant. Yuki Ichinose was amused by his tone and laughed out loud. After laughing out loud, she saw Brother Guang looking like he was sure of winning, and she felt relieved. At the same time, as the list of contestants of the National Beauty Girl Contest was finally exposed, it also caused a stir on the internet. There are a total of 200 contestants who passed the semi-finals and entered the elimination round. This number is large, but after several rounds of screening, the average value of the contestants who came to the stage is very high. Maybe they are plain-faced, but each of them has remarkable strengths and can be called a beauty. For example, some girls have beautiful eyes, beautiful bones, beautiful skin, good-looking facial features, temperament, good figure, and young age. As for having a good voice, this is an additional point. The elimination round is divided into several stages, and the first stage is the voting stage. At this time, the importance of the number before and after is very obvious. After all, a higher number means more people can see you, more exposure. In today's era, although there are many ways to entertain, they usually cost money. Surfing the internet does not cost much. With a mobile phone or a computer, you can have fun with the internet. That's why various hot news on the internet will attract many bored and empty netizens. Beauty pageants are very attractive to male netizens, because there are many participating girls, each with its own merits, and all the types you like are available. 001 is still as beautiful as ever this time. 003 is so cute. 004 is my classmate. In a short while, many netizens started discussing on various SNS and Twitter. Even more, some boys got together offline to discuss because it was still early. But not long after, some netizens discovered the situation of 005. 005 is very beautiful. Just looking at the photo, people can even skip the first few people and click directly into her personal information. 005 is Ichino Senpai, right? Yamada, your goddess is also participating in the competition. I saw it, I'm watching it. Wow, Ichino Senpai said she has a boyfriend, is that true? Is she lying? The high school boy called Yamada also saw the question about answering the view of love, and immediately stood up excitedly. As a model, Ichino's Yuki was once very popular in major universities in Tokyo. The school is a small society, divided into areas according to grade and city, such as elementary school, junior high school, and university. In the university area of Tokyo, if students from other schools make any big news, it will attract attention. Especially when other schools have a super beautiful girl as a model, and there are also photo albums, there are pictures and truth, which is even more exciting. That's why when Ichino's Yuki became famous overnight on the internet, many boys, whether in the same school or other schools, were attracted by her. However, at this moment, as someone recognized Yuki Ichino's as participating in the competition and learned that she had a boyfriend, countless innocent boys felt as if struck by lightning and were disillusioned on the spot. Damn, I was deceived by her appearance. 005 actually has a boyfriend. It's too early to vote unanimously. Not long after, someone posted a comment on SNS, saying that they were deceived. You know, the voting mechanism of the beauty pageant requires that the account needs to be bound to a social account, such as Twitter, SNS, Line, etc., and can only vote 5 times a day. You can vote for 5 people or vote unanimously for one contestant. After he voted unanimously, he could not vote for other contestants tonight. Me too, I didn't expect she actually had a boyfriend. This person glanced at the list of contestants and was attracted by 005's appearance at first glance. He felt that he fell in love in an instant. He voted unanimously without watching the video, but after watching the video, he immediately regretted it. You already have a boyfriend, why do you still participate in beauty pageants? You are 18 years old and still participate in beauty pageants, competing with 14-15-year-old girls, how shameless. 005 is a student of Chinquan Private High School, Ichino's Yuki, I have seen her, she is a hot girl, completely different from the innocent look in the photo, laugh. It's not just one person, many people started to post malicious comments, and the flames burned. The Japanese network is very violent, because in life, they have suffered a lot of grievances but have nowhere to vent, and they are depressed. Once there is a slight disturbance on the internet, or something they don't like, they will find an outlet to vent. In reality, they dare not speak loudly when they are scolded or bumped by their classmates, and they can only bow their heads and apologize, and walk away timidly. On the internet, hiding behind computers and various apps, let alone the enemy is taller and stronger than them, even if Tyson comes, they dare to curse a few words. The more arrogant these keyboard warriors are on the internet, the more unhappy they are in reality. Igarashi Runa had anticipated the situation and didn't even bother to read the comments. Instead, she asked, "Kurosawa, the first round of voting will last for 7 days and will end next Friday. Then, based on the popularity of the votes, the top 50 contestants will be selected from the 200 contestants and they will be allowed to appear on various programs. During this time, can you shoot a new MV?" "Small problem." Kurosawa Hikaru nodded. "Maybe it is troublesome for others to shoot MVS, but it is easy for him to shoot MVS. After all, he is a singer, a director, and a photographer. Although the workload is more, it will be easier to implement during the shooting process. The most important thing is that he is not short of money now, so he doesn't have to worry about insufficient funds for shooting MVS. It is best to shoot and release it before next Wednesday. There is a limit on the number of votes." Igarashi Runa knew that he was very experienced in shooting MVS and had strong shooting skills. He nodded slightly and reminded him. "Okay." Kurosawa Hikaru nodded. As for Yuki Ichino's, she was the youngest, so she didn't say anything and just listened to their arrangements. She just had to do whatever the two men said. Anyway, Hikaru and Ms. Igarashi wouldn't hurt her. They chatted for a while, and because it was late, close to 10 o'clock in the evening, Igarashi Runa decided to take them home. Leaving the agency, Igarashi Runa drove along the way while reminding Ms. Ichinos, "Have a good rest after you go back, wait for my notice, and contact me if you have any questions. Also, don't read the comments about you on the internet, I will send someone to deal with it." Female artists are very vulnerable to attacks on the internet. As an artist, you must be mentally prepared to withstand the flames. If you don't take the comments on the internet to heart, it's naturally a good thing, but if you are a picky person, there are many artists who have been forced to commit suicide by flames. However, suicide is too extreme after all, and more artists retreat under the attack of flames and become indistinguishable from the public. "Thank you for your reminder, I understand." Yuki Ichinos, who was sitting in the back seat, had already had experience with this and nodded slightly. When the first set of photos taken by Guang Ji for her suddenly became popular on the internet, she was cyberbullied once. Because she had been slandered by people before, she had a scandal and attracted many people's doubts and criticisms. However, facing such attacks, she didn't feel anything. Perhaps words have the power to hurt the heart, but she had experienced school bullying in junior high school. That's why she has a strong resistance to these things and is not so easily defeated. No matter how malice people have, she will never be defeated, and she will never have the idea of committing suicide and ending it all. The people who supported her at the beginning were her parents, and now, there is another person who supports her to live, that is Guang Ji. This chapter is not easy to divide into chapters. A chapter of 5.6K should be called a big chapter, right? Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 536. Early the next morning, Kurosawa Hikaru helped Igarashi Runa move together. Although there are moving companies, all kinds of things will be taken away directly in the car. However, unpacking and moving some small items requires manpower to help. Watching the moving company's truck leave and closing the door, Kurosawa Hikaru returned to the villa. Taking advantage of this gap, Ninomiya Chizuru, who was hiding in the room, had already come downstairs and was moving things with Igarashi Runa at the gate. Today is Saturday, which is her day off, so she can help with the moving and resettlement. "Are you going to open it here?" Kurosawa Hikaru saw the scene and immediately moved forward. "You need to confirm what kind of package it is first. Not all of it is meant to be placed in the room. There are many things that can be placed in the living room and kitchen." Igarashi Runa nodded and explained. "Runa, You shouldn't have emptied all your things, right? Ninomiya Chizuru helped to open the package and found some small ornaments and trophies in the package, and said puzzledly. These are the awards that Runa received within the company when she was an agent at Magic Star Firm, including several annual championship performance trophies. There are also silver cups, because in the previous Phantom Star agency, the team led by Igarashi Runa was not yet able to dominate. Except for the large furniture, it was basically vacated. Aren't you going to go back and live there? Do you want me to go back and live there occasionally to give you and Kurosawa some space to be alone? Igarashi Runa heard this and joked. How is that possible? I just want to ask you what you plan to do with your previous house. It took so much effort to buy it. Ninomiya Chizuru became angry when he heard this and defended himself. People get angry when they are wronged. Ever since she separated from Runa, she had been looking forward to living with Runa every day. After finally clearing up the misunderstanding, she wished she could stay with Runa all her life, live together every day, and see her boss every day. How could she value sex over friends like she said? Sorry, I was joking, I'll leave that house alone for now. I've been working a lot lately. I'll make plans later when I have some free time. Seeing that she was unhappy, Igarashi Runa realized that she had stepped on a landmine and quickly apologized. Ninomiya Chizuru rolled her eyes at her, snorted coldly, and knelt down to unpack the box. Oh, I was wrong, don't be angry, I shouldn't have said that to you. Realizing that she was still upset, Runa Igarashi walked over, opened her arms and hugged her, coaxing softly. Don't say that again. I never wanted you to step away and make some space. Ninomiya Chizuru shook her body, struggled a few times, and then said. It's not that she can't take a joke, it's just that everyone has a bottom line. I will never say anything again. Igarashi Runa naturally followed her. With 3 people, it should be quite lively, right? Seeing their interaction, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't say anything, but silently opened the curtains and thought to himself. This luxurious villa has a large area, plus several floors inside and outside. For 2 people to live in it, it will inevitably be empty and deserted, and many places will not be used. The most important thing is that he will not settle here, but will come occasionally and stay for a day. The reason why Sister Kinhe had to lock her bedroom door when sleeping was because the villa was too big and too quiet at night, which made her a little scared. Now that Sister Runa has moved here, he feels a lot more at ease. I believe Sister Kinhe thinks the same way. Because in this case, even if he doesn't spend the night here, she won't be alone. It took 2 hours and 3 people working together to finally put everything away. During this period, some interesting things happened. For example, there was a box containing bras. After taking it out, the scene was amazing. After everything was arranged and some trophies were placed in the living room, it was a little fuller and no longer so empty. This house is really big. Igarashi Runa sat down on the sofa, looked at the 100-inch large TV, looked around, and couldn't help but sigh. Although she had visited it once before, when she actually moved here, she realized the spaciousness of the house more truly. Because she likes to do housework and cook, she is easily attracted by the advertisements on TV and buys some strange daily necessities. She unknowingly bought too many things, and there was not enough space in her house because of the accumulation of these things, and she didn't know where to put them. Obviously this was the case, she almost emptied the house, leaving behind large furniture such as a washing machine, bed, wardrobe, and all other personal belongings. There were so many things placed in this villa, but it didn't seem crowded at all. On the contrary, it made her worry that there was too much space and she didn't know where to put things. It's really too big. Ninomiya Chizuru sat next to her and nodded in agreement. This villa, not to mention how deserted it is when you live alone. We just started living here, so naturally it looks empty. Later, it will feel too small. Kurosawa Hikaru quite likes this kind of big house. It's not too big at all. Maybe it's because men are naturally pursuing power, and huge things represent power, so he quite likes them. Do you like shopping very much? Is your house very messy? Igarashi Runa was a little curious when she heard his boastful talk. That's not true. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. He doesn't have the habit of buying things frequently, and Neon's online shopping is, of course, very inconvenient. Runa, have you never been to Kurosawa's house? When Ninomiya Chizuru heard this question, she caught a blind spot and was a little surprised. I always pick him up downstairs in the apartment. I haven't entered his house yet. Igarashi Runa shook her head. The closest she got to Kurosawa's house was when she was giving out super VIP tickets and slipped the tickets under the door. If you haven't been there, it's better not to go. Ninomiya Chizuru thought for a while and then said. Why? Is it very dirty? Igarashi Runa's curiosity was piqued by her statement. It's not dirty, it's quite neat, just ask him. Ninomiya Chizuru wanted to explain, but after thinking about it, she still couldn't. What could she say? Ichi knows Yuki's slippers belong to Kurosawa's house. As soon as he enters the door, he will see a pair of women's slippers that do not belong to him. He guesses that other girls are visiting his house and may even stay overnight. Although this kind of thing can be guessed, she has been there twice and still feels uncomfortable when she sees it. Igarashi Runa saw her slightly unhappy expression, thoughtfully, and quickly figured it out. Judging from this situation, Chizuru should have seen traces of Ichino's visiting the Kurosawa house. As for meeting him on the spot, it shouldn't be possible. I guess Kurosawa wouldn't be that stupid. Kurosawa, why did you just say that if you live here for a long time, you will become too small? Igarashi Runa did not discuss this topic further and asked instead. When you have children, there will be more people, and naturally there will be more things. Seeing her helping to find the steps, Kurosawa naturally followed them down. In this villa, Chizuru-san and Runa-san live together, and together with him, they can be counted as 3 people. But in the future, even if one child is born, it will be a family of 5, and if 2 children are born, it will be a family of 7. Child. When Igarashi Runa learned of this plan, her mind immediately became active. For couples of marriageable age, one of the most interesting topics is undoubtedly children. For example, how many children do you want, whether you like a boy or a girl, what names to choose, and what you want your children to learn in the future. Ninomiya Chizuru opened her mouth and glanced at Runa beside her. There were some things she wanted to say but couldn't. She was very interested in this topic, but she always felt a little embarrassed to talk about it. Not long after, it was time for dinner. However, they did not go out to eat, but cooked at home. Originally Igarashi Runa wanted to help, but Kurosawa pushed her out. Runa, tell me honestly, how far has your relationship with Kurosawa progressed? Finally finding a chance to be alone together, Ninomiya Chizuru waited for her to come back and asked in a low voice. In terms of their feelings and relationship, there is actually nothing they can say and no taboos. However, since their separation, they have had a lot less common experiences, and they don't have that much understanding of the current situation. They have to spend time communicating and getting along again before they can become what they were before. Well. After hearing this, Igarashi Runa paused and subconsciously looked in the direction of the kitchen. Because this villa is so large, the kitchen cannot be seen from the living room, as it is separated by 2 large walls. After hesitating, she gritted her teeth and lowered her head to consider. Some things have to be said. Otherwise, situations like what happened just now, where it is obviously a very interesting topic, but it is too careless to talk about, will still happen. Really? Are you going too fast? As she whispered, Ninomiya Chizuru's beautiful eyes widened. When she finished speaking, she asked in disbelief. Did you think I was joking with you before? Igarashi Runa found that she was just shocked and showed no signs of anger or jealousy. She breathed a sigh of relief and hummed. In the end, what happened? Ninomiya Chizuru was really shocked and immediately became curious. First tell me about the night you and Kurosawa were in Hakone. While Kurosawa was cooking, Igarashi Runa also planned to ask about Chizuru. You speak first. You speak first. The two people came together and whispered. Kins even blushed at what she said. Intimate topics are conducive to warming up feelings. Although it is very embarrassing, but because of this, the relationship between the two people who have been separated for a long time is also recovering rapidly. At the same time, Kurosawa Hikaru in the kitchen showed off his skills and cooked a big meal to celebrate the move. After eating and drinking, they chatted for a while and decided to go shopping. Because this home is still empty, there are a lot of things to buy, and to prepare for the dinner in the evening, in order to celebrate the 100 billion contract. After Ninomiya Chizuru dressed up and put on a wig, Kurosawa Hikaru drove them out in his Maybach. In the afternoon, they went shopping, including furniture stores, Akihabara, cosmetics stores, clothing stores, and large supermarkets. I went to Akihabara to buy electrical appliances. Although Akihabara is the agricultural mecca, it is also an electrical street where neon lights and cutting-edge industries of the times are synchronized. In Akihabara, you can buy all kinds of electrical appliances. Celebration banquets are all the same, and the celebration banquet for 3 people is no different from a regular dinner, except that the atmosphere is more lively and high-spirited. The night was getting dark, and around 9 o'clock, I went back to the room to sleep. Kurosawa Hikaru was sitting by the bed in Ninomiya Chizuru's room, holding his mobile phone and sending messages to several girls, sending good night greetings. Although it was strange to say good night at this time, there was nothing I could do about it because I wouldn't have time to say it later. Click. Not long after, the bathroom door was opened. Ninomiya Chizuru wore a black suspender nightgown and walked out with a towel in her hand, wiping her wet hair. Under the cool silk nightgown, a pair of big white legs are white and eye-catching. I've finished taking a shower. You go and take a shower. When you finish taking a shower, I have something to tell you. Ninomiya Chizuru looked at him playing with his mobile phone and said without interfering. With that said, she walked to the dressing table aside and picked up a small and convenient women's hair dryer. Don't worry, Sister Kinhee, I'll help you dry your hair first. Kurosawa Hikaru always felt that her tone was very calm, and he suddenly felt alert. He put down his phone and walked over. What's the situation? Is she angry? What is she going to say? No, you go take a shower first. By the time you're done, I'll be almost ready to blow dry. Ninomiya Chizuru shook her head and started blowing in front of the dressing table. Her movements were very ladylike, perhaps not deliberate, but they were natural, mature, and elegant. I take a shower quickly, so it won't be in the way. Kurosawa walked forward, snatched the hair dryer from her hand, and then held up her hair with his hands. Among 100 girls, 99 girls hate blow-drying their hair. The only girl who doesn't hate blow-drying is the one with short hair. Because your hair is long, although it looks good, it is really troublesome to take care of it, especially blow-drying, which can take less than half an hour. It's okay to blow-dry your hair in a barber shop, but if you blow-dry it yourself, your hands will be sore after half an hour. What's going on? Are you so nice to me all of a sudden? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little surprised and confused. Showing courtesy for nothing, committing adultery, or stealing, what bad things is this bad man thinking about? Have I not been good enough to you before? Kurosawa Hikaru asked rhetorically. It's good, but not as good as tonight. I always feel that you are uneasy and kind-hearted. The corners of Ninomiya Chizuru's lips raised slightly. It's unfair. Can I give you a hairdryer to make you feel kind? The main reason is that you never thought of drying my hair before, but tonight you suddenly wanted to help. Because you don't look very happy. So you want to make me happy. I want to know why you're unhappy. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded while drying his hair. He is very skilled at blow drying his hair because he is proficient in makeup, including hair design, but not haircut. A haircut is a haircut, which requires the use of scissors and various haircut tools. I came to that. Ninomiya Chizuru realized the reason for his sudden concern, hesitated for a few seconds, and sighed. The one you came to? The one where girls come every month. Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned when he heard this, and then suddenly reacted. Judging from this situation, is Sister Kinhe here to be her aunt? Right. Ninomiya Kinhe slightly nodded her head. When she talked about this matter, she felt bad again, not good in every sense of the word. Because Kurosawa didn't live with her for a long time, he might go somewhere else tomorrow night. So that's what happened. You waited for me to finish taking a shower, just because you wanted to tell me about this. Kurosawa let out a long sigh of relief and asked. He originally thought that he looked unhappy because she found out that he was sending good night to other girls while Sister Kinhe was taking a shower. Yes and no. Ninomiya Chizuru pondered. Come as soon as you come. It doesn't matter to me. It's good to just hold you and sleep tonight. After hearing her ambiguous answer, Kurosawa thought for a while and comforted her. I know you're happy to sleep with me in your arms, but I just feel it's a pity. What's such a pity? Do you just want to say this? Regarding this matter, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't feel any pity at all. Rather, he was quite happy that he could finally have a night's rest. He is a playboy, but he is not so disdainful that he would not go on a date with his girlfriend when she comes. What's more, he likes Sister Kinhe. He has always been more than just greedy for her body. He also likes the feeling of being with her. Kurosawa. Ninomiya Chizuru noticed in his tone and attitude that he really didn't care about her coming to be his aunt. After hesitation, he spoke. What's wrong? Kurosawa Hikaru could feel what she had to say next. How about you go to Runa's room to play for a while first, and then bring her over to sleep with you around 12 o'clock. Ninomiya Chizuru made up her mind and asked cautiously. What? Kurosawa Hikaru, who was still thinking about what she was going to say, was confused after hearing this. Runa moved here. I originally wanted to sleep with her on the first night, but if you spend the night here tonight, you won't be able to sleep with her. Ninomiya Chizuru explained. How can this be done? Kurosawa's mouth subconsciously refused, but his heart was restless. Is there such a good thing? Good girlfriends, a quilt, is it going to happen so soon? Why not? I know, you've been staying at Runa's house these 2 days. When Ninomiya Chizuru saw him refuse, she thought he was embarrassed, so she just talked it out. The three of them lived together, and sooner or later they had to talk it out, otherwise, they would have to be cautious when chatting with each other in the future. Here's the first update, less than 10,000 words, so I won't talk about the big chapter.